Think I should be live. Let me know if you hear me. Looks like you should. I was scrambling to get everything together last minute. My lighting was all screwed up. Okay, I see me now. Looks like we're good. Think I should be live. How's it going, everyone? Yeah, I'm just lazy, deciding not to shave. We'll see how long it lasts. Yeah, this is topic of the hour, topic of the minute. I maxed out on Rudy kits. I got 4. There also might be someone here in chat later that I traded for 2 of them. I traded them some Charizard UPCs, so I've got 6 that I'm gonna have coming to me right now. Echo. Hopefully there's not echo. I don't know how that would be, but it definitely could be. Let me know. Kiwi Game Boy box break. Let's go. Yeah, today's stream, I've got a few recent purchases, and let me get right to the business. I've got some business to attend to. I've got, okay, the echo was on Alex's end, I think. I've got consignments. I've got a little bit of consignments I want to show. When I switch to the desk cam, it's going to give away one of my recent purchases as well. Will be spoiled at the same time. Yeah, Rudy anniversary boxes are... Oh, Mason. We got Mason in the chat. Good to see, because I got a purchase related to Mason. It's gambling. I'm a gambler. Gambling on Rudy kits, the memes. I couldn't help myself. I knew I was going to max out. I was always going to max out and get 4 by default, and then I went for 2 more. In hindsight, maybe I'll look back and I'll regret not having gone for even more, because yeah, I had a couple people trying to set up trades pre-release, pre 9 p.m. Set up trades for the Charizard UPCs. So yeah, let me how's it going? Head Pokemon. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are also. Yeah, Mason and I did a little wheeling and dealing with that. I guess I'll show that first, because Mason's here. I don't know how long he's going to hang out while we've got him. See if I can pick the right scene here. This one. Yes, I got it. So, see how far the live is behind real time. See how long it takes to get the reactions from this in chat. But you know I had to. And then along with the hot dog playmat, there it is, just popped up for everyone to see. I did also, from Mason, pick up 2 of the most current Champions Festivals. All these were bought. These are exactly as they were sent to me. I actually changed the sleeves. Mason sent them in deck sleeves, and I just put them in penny sleeves. But I didn't get like a sealed pack. I bought them all raw. 2 English. One of the languages is missing. Mason had mentioned which language was missing. Apparently the player had traded it off for an extra English one. So the ones that I care about most are English and Japanese. I got 2 English and then 1 of a bunch of other languages. So yeah, I'm only drinking Coca-Cola tonight. So no Dan drunk stream tonight. Where'd my highlighted message go? Oh, there it is. So yeah, just Coca-Cola tonight. Still waiting on them to reach out for sponsorship. Contact information below in the description if you want to, but there's no Jack Daniels, there's no Black Velvet, there's no Wild Turkey. There's nothing sprucing up my Coca-Cola. It's just Coca-Cola on the rocks tonight. Yeah, I mean, Mason sells whatever he buys, right? Someone came to him. He's going to buy anything card store related that he can make a margin on. Similar to me, I'll buy almost anything I can make a margin on. In a perfect world, Mason, I mean, Mason already made his money selling to me. Hopefully he did well. I don't know exactly what he paid, but hopefully he made his money. I might grade a couple of these, make my money, win-win. I mean, the person who sold to him, whether they bought it from a player at the tournament or whether they were a player at the tournament, they were clearly probably happy with what they were offered because they took it. So we can get a win-win-win going here. It'll be that's the ideal scenario. Um, yeah, definitely not tonight. Oh yeah, retro. I'm spilling the beans on some plays, I think. Oh yeah, and I also did get. Well, let me show. I love the sticker. I love business cards. It's weird. It's silly, but I like getting them in person better. Maybe Mason, you'll have to bring me another one. You'll have to bring me another. Like I can get one like handed to me in person because I collect business cards. And I told him throw in this playmat. Obviously, me paying for them, not like throw them in for free. I said I want all those, and then I asked for a bundle of merch. Unfortunately, Mason did not want me looking fly in a Cardinal Gaming hoodie in Denver because he was out of my size. I'm a big boy, 2XL. Same goes for a t-shirt. No 2XL t-shirts. But I did get one of these bad boys. So I might be sporting this in Denver. You know, the hairline, I get a lot of flack about the hairline not looking great, but the hairline looks pretty good when you're sporting one of these hats. I guess I can go full screen for it. I'm not much of a hat person, but you've got to have this hat. I mean, how could you not? So when the hairline gets real rough, I can just start being one of the indoor hat guys if needed. I've got that Cardinal Gaming hat by my side, ready to deploy. Love a $7 glizz, yeah. Hairline check. Yeah, so the deal with Mason was really cool, unexpected. I just saw that he posted in Discord that he picked up that lot. I slid right into those DMs immediately and worked out a deal. Hoodie and t-shirt I'm going to need down the line, so I have those set up. I wish I could be sporting them in Denver, but I'll just have to use those at future Collecticons. Yeah. You know, being a big influencer, I just reached out to Mason and I said, you know what? It would be your honor to give those cards to me, and then I'll just pay you in I'll pay you an exposure. That's the deal we worked out, honestly. I said, Mason, you know what? We got the number. Where are we? We got the number right here. 2,265 subscribers. I'm live streaming to 38 people. I'm going to give you a shout out. Paid an exposure. Even trade. That that's not actually what happened. I paid him money. I shouting him out because I love Mason. Can't wait to meet him in Denver. But that would be funny. So yeah, there's the purchase. There's the playmat. That is going to be the playmat for the night. Playmat will be used sporadically throughout my endeavors, I'm sure. I did also another pickup for the week. It's not going to be a YOLO play like my last one was. You can see the centering, left, right. The left is pretty thin. This is a code that I bought. I actually went and I bought like 4 codes for like $7.50. I think I paid $30 for 4 codes. I heard you can use one per week. As you can see from my office behind me, I'm shopping at the Pokemon Center all the time. So I figure once a week, I'll just drop one of these codes in. And I'm probably not going to make any more grading plays down the line. But this one, definitely not. I kind of carefully slid. I slid it down and I slid it up. The corners have a little bit of whitening. The centering's off. This is like a 9, potentially an 8. So I'm absolutely not making the play on that one. But there's another pickup for the week. And then getting wrapped up with, what else do I have? Oh yeah, let me show the consignments. Link below. I think I put the link in the live description. But if you're interested in sending Buy It Now consignments to me, I don't do auctions. I prefer to sell with Buy It Nows. I think you can get higher. Sells slower. I did a whole video on why I sell Buy It Now versus auctions. So I do the same for my consignees. I don't do auctions. I sell as Buy It Nows. really cool cards here. And shout out to Secret Shop Cards. I actually recently was just listening to James and Cam's live Z&G Emporium from the other day. I think Secret Shop Cards is the one that sold Nick the $900 Perfect 10 Shadowless Squirtle. So double shout out to Secret Shop Cards. I really like that you sold that to Nick. That's awesome. But yeah, cards I've never owned. ANA promos from 99. We got Moltres and Zapdos. 2 cards out of this 10 card lot already did sell in the past few days, showing that the buy it now consignment service is working. We got some really cool cards. Really, you don't see them as much, but full art, Team Aqua and Team Magma, Groudon and Kyogre, the full art EXs. I think these are like 4-figure cards in English. Not worth as much in Japanese, but they are the first edition PSA 10s. They're around $400 or $500 a piece, maybe $1,000-ish for the pair. I forget the exact list price. We got a Reds Challenge. And then we've got Victory Medal, PSA 9 Gold Victory Medal from 2007. We got a full art Chinese Acerola, which was interesting to see. I don't really do too much with Chinese. I have a little bit of base set first edition Chinese. But, and then, man, PSA's abbreviations obliterate that card name. But even if it was all spelled out, I would not know how to say it. When I listed it, I searched that number. I searched Japanese 144 BW-P. That name is in the listing title, but I don't remember what it is. And even if I did, I wouldn't be able to say it. So yeah, just wanted to shout out Secret Shop Cards using the buy it now consignments, selling Nick $900 Shadowless Squirtles. Good things all around. So we got those cards showed off. I do have a couple PSA returns I'm going to show as well. Let me catch up with chat before we move along. I potentially have people calling in later. Sorry if I sound a little nasally. Seems like I'm always talking about mowing my lawn on the streams, but every time I mow my words, I'm a bit congested. Dan going to Primetime Lives getting the sponsorships he deserves. Yeah, potentially might have a guest calling in later, but I'm not positive. Oh yeah, Nobunaga. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. Can you shout me a Sydney to Denver plane ticket? Not in the budget right now. Maybe someone can sponsor Kai. Coca-Cola, why don't you reach out, sponsor my stream, sponsor Kai, put him on a plane to Denver. I'm sure that will pay off in, I'm sure he'll put a good word out on Coca-Cola if you pay for his plane ticket. Nobunaga was a famous Japanese feudal lord. Interesting. I don't know if that's real or not, but interesting. Low Pop Pokey wants to join the stream one day. Retro calling Low Pop Pokey a bag holder. Oh, man. Yeah, Cameron and I, Low Pop Pokey, we are very opposed in our collectibles of choice. I mean, overlap, we're both doing it with Pokemon cards, but he's more on the unlimited 10 side. Low Pop Pokey, right in the name. And I'm more on the PSA 9, maybe PSA 8, maybe binder copy. Every year that goes by, it's like I'm downgrading what I'm going for. Yeah, proud bag holder by. I mean, oh, Pepsi's better. You just lost your Coca-Cola sponsorship. I mean, they just DM'd me. They were gonna sponsor me, pay for your plane tickets, and you just lost us both the sponsorship. Thanks, Kai. Yeah, I did see something in the Pokey news. I saw something in the news feed about Nobunaga. Thanks for the phonetic. I think that's phonetic spelling. Yeah, I did see something. Pokemon TCG releasing in China. It'll be really interesting to see how the demand works there. If 9.1 billion cards goes to 15 billion or something. How many fake cards print in China and come out of China. It'll be interesting to see if there's much demand for the real thing when the fake thing is so cheap there. Will the MSRP of their products be significantly lower? I have no idea, but interesting thing. Just rip modern all night. I actually don't have any. I don't have any Lost Origins left. I opened like 6 boxes. My son. So people are gonna cringe a little bit, maybe, but I enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. My son ripped tons of Metazoo UFO with me because I have a pallet of it. I have so much of it. I'm down. I bought 400 boxes. I have about 150 left. I've been doing really well, honestly, grading some, selling them graded, and then selling them raw on eBay. TCG Player, the pricing is quite a bit lower. So I guess if you're buying them, go to TCG Player. But I'm selling them low list on eBay, and they're going pretty well. Along with the grading, I'm selling perfect 10s between 100 and 150, pristine 10s between 50 and 100, and then CGC 9.5s between like 20 and 50. Pretty good margin. So my son has had a ton of fun opening Metazoo UFO, and then he's been asking to open more Pokemon too, because we've opened a little bit here and there. We opened some Halloween boosters recently. We've been getting a few Happy Meals lately. It's gonna get expensive. I'm worried that I'm going to get him as addicted as I am, and as much of a gambler I am. It might get really expensive if he's asking, Daddy, can we open another pack? Can we open another booster box every week, if not every day? So, L-Dubs, I've used it twice. So I used one originally, the one that I flipped for $670 on eBay as a PSA 10. That was a few weeks ago. I forget the exact timing, but I talked about it in a stream somewhere. And then I just used one, the one that I just showed. This one I just used, like, it was like 2 or 3 weeks later. So hopefully I can get one in every week. I tried just today. It didn't work. But, I mean, I might just employ my sister or my parents or a couple of friends to buy a couple of them. But I don't know. We'll see. Too much negative EV. What are you doing, Dan? Yeah, starting the boy young. Yeah, I tell him, I say Metazoo is easier to open because at the cost that I get it, it's plus EV or it's like less negative EV if you get a bad box. If we rip Lost Origins, I'm like, he doesn't know exactly what $100 means, but he's actually getting pretty good at math. He's pretty good at adding. He's 4 in pre-K, but he's constantly like, what's 2 plus 2 plus 2? What's 5 plus 3 plus 5? Just going on and on. Same way I was at that age. So hopefully he gets the math brain, the engineer's brain. But yeah, I tell him, I'm like, this is $100 box. I can sell it and I can get us $100, or we can open it and I can like get us $50 if we're lucky. So I tell him that we need to pay bills, we need to buy things. Every one of these we open, it's fun, but it costs a lot of money. So we got to limit that. I do vaguely recall that, Kai. That was a good night. That was a good time. Yeah. Son just got yeah, Rudy kits we talked about a little bit earlier. I in the Discord, shout out Pokenomics Discord. It is paywalled. It is gated behind a $10 a month Patreon subscription. But we were chatting in about it part of the day today, and I don't think anyone said over or under, but I put like an hour before release. I was guessing a 13-minute sellout. I said over or under 13 minutes to sell out. I picked the under, but I thought it was going to be right around 13 minutes. And it ended up being like 5 or 6, whatever it ended up being. Rudy did say that he's going to send a follow-up email. Like, I don't know how he does it exactly. He must just look at his PayPal account balance and be like, okay, I have 2,000 kits. They're 600 a piece. Once this says $120,000, then we cut it. It's got to be fairly hard to perfectly time. But yeah, actually, 1.2 million. I mean, once it says about $1.2 million, then we cut it. As far as how he gets it exactly to the kit, I don't really know. He might have to refund some people towards the end. I literally had my PayPal up. I had it all ready to go. I had his email address put in right when the post went live. I just copy pasted what was it, 20, whatever the amount was for 4 of them. I just copy and pasted it into my 26.79. I copy and pasted it in my thing. Boom, done. If I catch my son opening Metazoo, he's done for. Let me whatever makes my son, well, and daughter, whatever makes them happy. I'll support whatever makes them happy. It would be nice if it was Pokemon. It would be fine if it was Metazoo, if it's Yu-Gi-Oh, if it's Digimon, if it's My Hero Academia, if it's not cards at all, if it's something else entirely. I'll back it and I'll get into it. I'll probably end up getting into whatever they get into. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, I'm done with trading cards. Maybe I just start doing whatever they're into. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just got DM something on Discord. They're already being pre-ordered for really, really high on eBay. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, if my son loves unlimited tens, I might switch over to the dark side and go for unlimited tens. We'll have to see. He will not like how many I've sold. Well, not unlimited, but he will not like how many tens I've sold historically. I've not really dealt too much in unlimited, but I've dealt a lot in PSA 10, like first edition that I've graded, and I've sold them all. So he won't be too big into that. Okay, so he must oversell slightly and then just refund the last handful of unlucky people. That's unfortunate because I would imagine if you have, it wouldn't be too. There was 2,400 kits, I think. Probably the average person orders like 2, maybe. So 1,200 individual transactions happened in 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I would imagine that there had to be a couple hundred too many. There had to be a little bit of overage. So is he refunding like 200 people? Are you looking into adopting? This family's full for sure. This family is full. No applications for adoption. But yeah, um I drink, I don't smoke. So I will drink copious amounts, but even where it's legal, I don't smoke. I'm actually very, very allergic to like cigarette smoke. I've been around that type of smoke as well, and it just my sinuses, it doesn't vibe. It doesn't vibe well. So a lot of drinking, no smoking. The Rudy kits, the Alpha Investments Rudy kits. Behind a paywall, you've got to be in his Patreon. I'm $15 patron, I think. I was in his Patreon 4 or 5 years ago, and I got out after a year or two, and then I got back in when some drama happened and a bunch of people dropped. I just slid into one of those slots. Boo. Yeah, I don't care that people do it. I mean, I've hung around. I know a lot of people who do. That's fine. I won't boo you for doing it. If you want to boo me for not doing it, that's fine. But yeah, whatever. It's in general. It's in general. There's a fair bit of drinking. There. Not. I mean, not everybody. Again, I know some people who don't drink. Some very close friends of mine in Pokemon and out of Pokemon don't drink or don't drink much. Whatever. I'm there to hang out. I socially drink. Weddings, parties, things like that, conventions. So it's not mandatory by any means, but it makes me go from on the spectrum of introvert extrovert. It makes me go to strong extrovert. So I have a better time. I get to meet more people that way. Social lubricant. Good stuff. Low pop. Check your Discord DMs. It's down under, I guess it's still illegal. So yeah. guy guy doesn't want to end up in jail over it. So I'm from way upstate New York. I'm from near like the Syracuse area. So when people say upstate New York, a lot of times I think they mean like Poughkeepsie area. I'm much further north than that. Thanks for stopping in, Trippy. Hopefully it'll be an entertaining watch later on. I am gonna show quickly. So I did get Actually, kind of a big reveal. I was hoping to reveal it in a short, and maybe I still will at some point, but the short's just not going to hit the same kind of spoilers. But the Charizard that I pulled on PK's stream, that is in this submission. This is a submission of 5 cards that I submitted at $50 a piece. I should pull it up because someone always asks, but let me pull up my PSA so that I can give you the time frame. Someone always wants to know how long it took. So this was a $50 submission. It was sent a few days after I pulled it on PK's stream. I'll get you the exact date in a second. But along with the Charizard, I actually sent 2 Dark Blastoises. So I had 2 Team Rocket first edition booster boxes I bought from Heritage with all the reseal, all the crap that goes on with that. I just wanted to be safe. I opened my 12th heaviest pack out of each box. So Rocket is kind of hard to weigh. I was a little bit worried I might end up opening a non-holo, but in any case, I opened the 12th heaviest pack out of both boxes. I pulled a Blastoise, Dark Blastoise, out of 2 boxes, 2 packs in a row to test the box to make sure they were legit. So yeah, I sent, it arrived on 7/29 and it shipped on 9/16. So about 1.5 calendar months it took for this to come back. Let me make sure I put them in the right order. So yeah, there's 2 Dark Charizards. There's a random Crystal Guardians Charizard that I have. Dark Blastoise. I think I said Dark Charizard. There's a 4th print Charizard that I had raw from some time ago that I just needed to get graded. And then there is the PK Zard will be the last one. Just so we don't get the confusion. Let me put the 4th print Zard as the first one, because if they're back to back, it might get confusing. So yeah, so here's the 4th print. This is pack fresh. I pack pulled this myself. I've talked about it many times, but yeah, it's got the, gonna be very hard to show it. It's got the 1999 to 2000 copyright date. 4th print, kind of a misnomer, but it is what it is. That's the accepted jargon, so I just use it. So I got PSA 8, 4th print Charizard, and then 2 boxes in a row. I opened Dark Blastoises to verify the box, which was crazy. I did these off camera. I just wanted to make sure, like the day that I received them from Heritage, if they were reseals, I did it on video, but I didn't like record it properly to make a video. It was just going to be if I had to get a refund or something. But 2 9s, they were both really clean, but not like perfect. 10s are hit or miss. 10s and 9s, I've always said, the border is so fine, the border is so close. Yeah, these cards, to me, if I had graded them 10 times each, some amount of times they'd be a 10. Whether that be 1 or 2 times or 5 times. These are both what I would call strong 9s. Little white dots, lots of 10s have little white dots. I never pre-grade a card as a 10. I always presume like it's a 9+. So these were 9+s that both got 9s. Not unfair grades. There are imperfections on both. Just there are a lot of imperfections. There are a lot of 10s with imperfections as well. So I was hoping for the 10, but I'm not at all disappointed that he's got 9s. Crazy thing though, this is one of the best hitters you can get from a heavy Team Rocket pack. Barely break even. This is like a $500 card. I think I sell the Rocket Heavies for $500. So getting the 2nd or 3rd best card and then barely breaking even in a PSA 9. Like that's how bad ripping packs is. Yeah, this is just a random, I have no idea where this one came from. It's not like a crack and regrade. This is just a raw one I had from a collection somewhere that I found in one of my mystery boxes somewhere. So that was cool to see. And then the one that everyone wants to see, as I said, it was going to be a short reveal if it got the 10. So spoilers, it didn't. I've opened in my day, so back to 2014, I was cracking base unlimited boxes like crazy. I've opened at least probably 10, counting 4th print. I've opened at least 10 base unlimited Charizards, and I've graded at least 5 as PSA 10s. I probably opened 12 to 15, and I've graded 5 of them PSA 10s. This is the cleanest one I've ever pulled. I've graded 10s with so much silvering. I've graded 10s with white dots on every corner. I'm not going to be able to show it too well right now, but like when I pulled this live on PK's stream, and then when I showed it in the next live stream, it is really clean. Like, it is not perfect. No card is perfect. There are minor imperfections, but this card, I feel like I never pre-graded it as a 10. I pre-graded it as a 9+. But I was most hopeful out of all cards in this 5-card submission that this would get the 10. And it just didn't. Honestly though, it's kind of like bittersweet. I already wrote on the back so that I don't accidentally sell it. Because I'm a flipper boy. But in a way, it's bittersweet. Like, if I got the 10, realistically, I probably would have sold it someday. I told myself I was going to keep it no matter what. It would have been hard to justify keeping a $10,000 card that I paid $600 to grade. I probably would have sold it if it graded a 10. Now that this got, so I haven't listed my Spectra Pikachu from the same stream. I pulled, if anyone saw, not only did I pull this, I opened a Topps Chrome pack, and I pulled a Spectra Pikachu, as well as a regular Pikachu and a regular Blastoise from a Topps Chrome pack. I'm going to sell the Spectra Pikachu PSA 10 and keep this one as my memento. Had this graded a 10, I probably would have sold it for 10K. And I probably would have kept the Spectra Pikachu as a memento. So yeah, pop control potentially. But yeah, PC forever. I pulled it myself on stream. Cool memory. I love opening cards at events. This wasn't like a convention. This wasn't an event, but I'll definitely open something in Denver. In Orlando, I bought into the Heritage box break. I bought and had opened a Vesuvan Doppelganger from the Magic Beta box. In Charlotte, I did the deal with Rusty, so I didn't really buy anything down there, but each event having some big memory tied to it, having some big memento. My memento from that event is the clock. I'm pointing at it here. You can't see it on screen, but yeah, so from Vegas, when I went to that box break, I have a PSA 8 Shadowless Charizard. I pack pulled myself. From PK's live stream, I have this PSA 9. I'll keep forever. From the Charlotte Collecticon, I have the clock from Rusty's trade. I'm going to keep forever. And then from Orlando, I have the Vesuvan Doppelganger. Probably one of the only beta cards I'll keep forever. So really cool to see. And I don't have to feel guilty getting the 10 and then selling it. Guy doesn't look good in the orange, or do I look too good? Let me get caught up on chat now. I think that's everything I had laying around that I wanted to show off. The consignment. I made a list somewhere. I needed to show the consignment, the return, the special delivery Charizard. Oh yeah, packs. So I have a pack return I'll show in a little bit. I'll take a little break, catch up with chat. I do have a all base unlimited. So I bought a base unlimited booster box a few heritages ago, and I graded 10 light packs from it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too overly interesting, but I'll just show it off. If Pokemon wasn't printing, would you be burnt out on it by now? I don't think so. It makes it easier that it's printing. It makes it easier that I'm making money from it. If Pokemon wasn't printing, if it wasn't doing well for me, I probably wouldn't be full-time in it. So I would probably not be burnt out. Yeah. Because I would still be doing it part-time. But I could see myself always doing Pokemon. I think everyone says that, but you never know what life's going to throw at you. Like, I can't confidently say I'm going to do Pokemon forever, guaranteed. I think it's something that's like way over said. There, I got the sub count up there. It was on the wrong layer. I think it's way overstated. Like, oh, I'm going to be in Pokemon forever, guaranteed. Nothing's going to change. Life can throw so many things at you. And whether that's having a family, whether that's having kids, whether that's whatever it may be. Your job moves, you lose your job. You need to move to a different area. So many things. And I like to think, and a lot of people like to think, that that there will be like just so much engaging stuff that'll always be interested, always stay in it for the next 50 years. But none of us really know that for sure. So I left it once. Maybe I'll leave it again for a decade and then get back into it 10 years later. Who knows? But not remotely burnt out. A lot of days are pretty busy, and I'm burnt out on being disorganized. I'm really trying to get my crap together, and I'm really trying. One thing, the consignments are helping me as a person, trying to help me not procrastinate as much. When I am working for someone else, when I have someone else's cards, I owe them getting them listed as quick as possible. So like, very, very rare. This stack of graded packs, already photographed. I picked them up from the PO box today, and they're already photographed. They're going to be on eBay like tomorrow. That's the quickest I've ever, like in my 8 years in the hobby, I think that's the quickest I've ever turned around my own cards. So if I can use the consignment expedience and get all my stuff posted as quickly as possible, if that can like make me better with my own inventory and then catch up on my backlog and keep everything organized so that I don't mix anything up, that'll be great for me, because I am sick of being disorganized. The stream was a lot of fun. Fourth print, oh sorry, you mean gapless. Base 1999 to 2000 I think is the most appropriate. It describes exactly what the difference is that makes it unique. But yeah, I think that's an E4 meme. Somebody calling it gapless. I don't understand where gapless came from, but I've definitely heard that. Yeah, overall, really good grades. The fourth print Charizard, definitely weaker than the base unlimited one. I was hoping for 10-9. Obviously, I got 9-8. It's not unreasonable. I don't have any complaints with the grades. Always, you hope for weak 10s. You hope for. I wouldn't have even said. The Crystal Guardians one, had that gotten a 10, that would have been a weak 10. That one, a 9 feels fine, maybe even generous, if anything. Probably 9 is fair, but like the strongest card in the submission was the base unlimited Charizard. Didn't get the 10. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Zard reveal happened. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a letdown. All my cards are 10s before they go to PSA. Maybe I needed to, yeah, maybe I just need to will it to happening. Pre-grade my cards a 10 and then I'll grade a 10. Sadness. Still sick grades. Why is Mason Camp Mason, can you let me know, is it Camp's cards? I've met Mason in person. I've talked to Mason for a long time. Is it Campy's cards or Camp's cards? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've said it. I think I always say something different every time I say it, like in my inner monologue. So let me know phonetic spelling of Camp's or Campy's cards. But he's so rich because he is so good at flipping. Look at his logo. Anyone look at Campy's cards logo? Let me see if I can pull it up on Instagram. His logo is a work of art. I love what he's got going on there. Shout out Campy's cards and shout out Retrospecs. He needs to make more YouTube content. Everyone in chat, let Retro know that he needs to make more YouTube content. And Mason should make Campy's cards. Camp's cards should make some YouTube content as well. Let me see if I can find the right one. I have no idea. Okay, this is going to pop up above my head somewhere. Maybe. On the wrong layer. Ugh, it cut off. Let me see. So check this logo. He's got, he's a flipper. So this stream, this segment is sponsored by Campy's cards. Camp's cards. I don't even know how to say it. Look at that logo though. That is a work of art. He's a flipper. He embraces it. He's got the dolphin. Got the dolphin in the logo. Love it. See, I gotta get caught up here. Oh, we got Zakil. Thoughts on the S&P right now? I just lost Mason's logo. I was just gonna Google S&P 500. It's down 1.72% today. It's down 23% year to date. Feels like it's on sale. Feels like it's cheap. None of this is financial advice. Shout out ZNG Emporium, James and Cam, always saying that I'm giving out financial and tax advice. I need someone to make me, or I guess I can just make it myself, a big image that says not tax advice. And I need to flash that on the screen. Maybe just permanently. Like he's got the never punished LED. Maybe I just get a not tax advice canvas to go behind me. Because James and Cam always saying that I'm giving out financial advice. So Let me see. This one's for James and Cam. See where I can put it. Okay. So this is for James and Cam. We'll put it right there. So this is not tax advice. I'm 32. I am saving money in tax advantage accounts. Maybe I should just put it right over my face. I'm saving money in tax advantage accounts that I am not going to touch for 30 years minimum. I am not worried about the day-to-day changes. Every year I max out my 401k, I max out my IRA, and I just set it and forget it. I don't look at it, I don't touch it. So the fact that it's gone down, I'm not changing my plans. This is not advice for you, but this is what I'm doing. I feel like it could go down a decent bit. I feel like 30 years from now, when I need to remove my money, I feel like it will be significantly higher than it is today. So I'm not going to gamble with 6 figures worth of money that I have in those accounts and pull it all out and then watch it go. I mean, look at the flash crash that it did in, what was it, April of 2020? Went down 20% or something, nearly 20%, and then it came back like a month later. I'm not going to be the guy who 30 years from retirement tries to day trade with my retirement savings, pulls it out, and then it rebounds 25% to end the year, and then it never hits that number again, because that would be my luck. I know people who've done that. I know people who sold at the lows of 2008, never got back into it. They do CDs now. They do whatever now. So to me, it's like it could go down 50 more percent. Who knows? But it's not going to affect me. I'm good with whatever happens with it. Let me catch up with chat now, because I feel like there might be some funny chat going on. I'm gonna name this not tax advice, and I'm gonna hide it, but it's gonna be there so that it's the top layer. So whatever I'm doing, I can always pop that baby up. We gave Camp's cards a sufficient shout out. Hopefully I get the phonetic spelling so that I can make sure I'm saying it right. But let's see. Yeah, Zakeel in chat. Really miss. I understand why it had to go, but I miss the old podcast. Pocket Change podcast was good stuff. Retro is convinced Mason is Bill Gates. Yeah, nice to see Rainy Day around here. It's a good day when Rainy Day is around, when Rainy Day is in chat. How do you pre-grade your packs? Genuinely curious. So packs, I do not pre-grade whatsoever. I don't assign this is going to be 8, 9, 10. I literally just look to me what looks like the best 8 to 12 packs from any given box, and I send them knowing that PSA is going to hit the random number generator 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to get one of those grades. Sometimes like the best pack gets the 8 and all the bad packs get the 10s. Let me get caught up with chat and then we'll show it. So yeah, same thing. I say this looks mint plus, but I know I'm going to get 8, 9, 10. Historically, I've gotten like a reasonable enough distribution of 8, 9, 10 for it to be profitable, so I keep doing it. If and when they start grading harder, or if I feel like even less certain that I can get enough 10s and 9s for it to make sense, I'll just stop doing it. But for now, like, I don't understand what they're doing, but I make money with it, so I continue to do it. That's what it comes down to. I grade the ones that look good, look 9 plus, and I get 8, 9, 10. With PSA bulk prices going lower soon, will the other higher tiers drop in price as well? If so, what would the other potential price be? I do think in the future we will get to lower priced higher tiers. That or functionally equivalent, they'll just raise the value limit allowed for each tier. Like right now, let me just pull up what they're at. So right now, let's see if I can show. Where are we? Okay. Nope. So right now, yeah, right now for $22, you get $122 $199 value limit. And right now for 30, you get $500. I could see, historically speaking, $100 would get you like probably $5,000 worth of declared value. I don't think it'll ever get as cheap as it was, like dollars per card per value limit, but I think it'll get better. I could see by the end of the year, $15 being open. So like right now our current lowest is 22. I could see it going maybe to 20 to 18 or even as low as 15 potentially by the end of the year with a 6-month turnaround time. And I still think I'm going to win the bet against James mentioning ZNG Emporium. I think I'm going to win the bet. I do not think there will be a publicly open service for under $10 by the end of 2023. So I don't think you'll be able to send cards in. Not like getting the cards back. I definitely don't think that'll be the case. But I don't think you'll be able to send out. Maybe 2 to 3 years from now, maybe there will be a grading service under 10 though. I think the new floor might be over 10. We'll have to see. I sent a bunch out at 18. I'm not sending any at 2022 or any at 22. So yeah, we might get 18 or 15 by the end of this year, but I think a lot of cards will go in at 15. I think if they go to 12, a lot of cards will go in at 12. I just think, I mean, they are grading 15 million cards a year. So the little bit of backlog they have left, plus, will they take in 15 million cards at 15? Maybe not. Maybe I lose the bet, but it's a fun bet. We'll have to see how it goes. That's my thoughts on PSA grading. You send and pray with packs, absolutely. Still waiting on the phonetic spelling. Oh God, here we go. Hold on. Everything by default that I say, I'm just gonna have a banner that continually runs. James and Cam, they really, they didn't just mention it once. Like a 15-minute period, they just continually kept saying, oh, I get all my financial advice from Dan. I get all my tax advice from Dan. I don't give any of that. I just show you what I do, and I'm not very smart, so don't copy what I do. I'm too much of a gambler. I only collect PSA 9s. What do you think of collecting 10s versus 9s for a PC? My biggest thing, funds are limited. I always enjoyed getting more 9s than less 10s, quantity over quality, because a lot of times I felt like I was getting quantity and quality. So many 9s that I've owned are better than so many 10s that I've owned. On average, a PSA 10 is going to be a stronger card than a PSA 9, but there's so much overlap. Like, if you looked at a Venn diagram of PSA 9s and PSA 10s, they're not like two distinct circles. Not like the worst PSA 10 is better than the best PSA 9. There's a lot of overlap. There are many, many PSA 9s that are better than the lower tier PSA 10s. So I just try to collect the lower tier PSA or the higher tier PSA 9s for a significant discount to the PSA 10s. That's always been my thinking. Yeah. 70-year-old Dan is going to have 5 mansions across the nation and an LP base set unlimited binder to his name. Yeah, I'm always going to keep my base set, three sets. Base Jungle Fossil. That's my PC. That's my, the market will never pay what I value it at, so I'm always going to own those cards. Here we go. Admiral giving out actual financial advice. Camp. So Camp's cards. There we go. Proper shout out. Camp's cards. Let me get the logo back on the screen. Got the nice little Flipper Dolphin logo. Go check him out on Instagram. Make him make a YouTube. Tell him to make some videos. So now I can say it properly. Now I can actually know that I'm saying it the right way. I was gonna say, I'm searching. He does have a YouTube. I was gonna say, when I said he needs to make a YouTube, I'm like, crap, does he actually have one? So he has 2 videos he posted like a year ago. Search Camp's cards. He's got the same thumbnail. He's got 481 subscribers right now. He hasn't made a video in a year. Tell him we want some videos. Because he's a full-timer too. He's got time. Yeah, you've probably seen the name around. If you're on E4, he's over there. He's all over the place. He does big stuff. Canned peas cards. PFM made that logo for me. Yeah. PFM, there's another guy who a lot of people reference that resolving power video he made. Great scientific explanation of the reason why he doesn't buy into the whole BGS 10 Black Label hype. Have you noticed any changes in grading consistencies with PSA over SG or CGC over the last few months? I think PSA, CGC, BGS, I think they've all been consistently inconsistent for the entire 8 years I've been in the hobby. I don't think they're necessarily getting easier or harder. I just think they've always been inconsistent, more so than I'm comfortable with for paying a high premium for higher grades. So yeah, they're consistently inconsistent. Camps cards, yeah, camps cards. Dolphin emojis. The E's nothing. Just forget the E's there. There we go. Shovel's the 69th watcher. 69 watchers, only 24 likes. That's bad. Bad ratio there. Sorry, Earth LED in the back. Yeah, it is a bit crazy how much packaging I go through to open up overall, I don't open a ton of product compared to some people, and the amount of just packs and packaging, it's crazy. What's the max in the USA for those? Could Google it, but I'm too busy crushing it. I don't know what he's asking about the max for. There we go. Mason said he's going to make something better soon. Let me catch up the chat. I'm like 10 minutes behind. Rock Pokemon, looking forward to meeting you in Denver. I will let you know, too. If anyone's in the Syracuse area, Connor, remind me in chat. What's it called? There's a convention coming up in Syracuse that I might go to. I think Connor said he's going with a friend. If anyone's in the Syracuse, New York area, I don't know that I'll be able to make it out, but if not this one, I'll probably try to make one at some point. I think they almost do them monthly. I think they do them nearly monthly in Syracuse, and then some in Albany as well. I'm kind of in between Syracuse and Albany, and I'm a little ways behind. Zakeel said he feels the same way, and again, that's my take, my thoughts on the market, what I'm doing. Oh, there's my sitting cutie camera that's not zoomed in the right way from Pokeflips. Yeah, I hold stocks. I flip. I think the whole time in the market versus timing the market, I think that best, let me get my, I know James was here. I don't know if he still is. Let me get this up. Time in the market versus timing the market. I think you can time the Pokemon market. Not only can you time it, it's very illiquid. It's very non-fungible, if that's a thing. It's very non-fungible. So you can buy at low market and sell at market. You can buy below market and you can sell above market for very illiquid, very niche items. Whereas with stocks, if Apple stock, if the S&P 500, if VU, if VT-SAX, if one of these big index funds that you're trying to buy, if it's 100 for that given day, you're paying $99.99 to 100.1, 100.01. The bid-ask spread is tiny. The liquidity is massive. You're not going to get a sale on it. You're not going to get a discount. You're going to pay the rate, and you need it to go up to sell it to make money. And fees. In Pokemon, fees are significantly higher. In stocks, the fees are crazy low, but still, the tax benefits of holding long term, all that are on your side. But even though there's about a 20%, 15 to 20% fee to sell in Pokemon, you can buy at half market and sell at full market. So you can double your money. And a 20% fee on that that's not the end of the world. So yeah, I actively flip and time the Pokemon market, whereas I passively invest, set it and forget it, time in the broader S&P 500, those markets. So I flip in what I know, and I'm active in what I know, and I invest passively in what I believe in long-term, the long-term health and advancement of humanity, which when you're buying into the S&P 500, when you're buying into VT-SAX, you're buying into the productive capacity of humanity. You're betting that 30 years from now, humanity will be prospering more than we are today. Might not be true, but I'm betting that it is. That's, yeah, again, not advice. That's just thinking into why I do what I do. Yeah. Absolutely. Not financial advice, but that is what the numbers say. The numbers in history say time in, not timing. I don't understand it, but it makes me money. The USD is so strong because it's the reserve currency of the world, baby. Can we get CGC to distinguish between a perfect 10 and a pristine 10 on the label besides the text? I know condition rarity is whatever, but as a seller, I'm a fan of condition rarity. The interesting thing, it's nice because I like getting perfect 10s for free, but I submit almost nothing with subgrades anymore. When you get a perfect 10, they give you the subgrades, but it's funny because you know on a perfect 10, all 4 subgrades are 10s. Why do they give you that? On a pristine 10, one of the 4 subgrades, 3 of them are 10s and one of them is 9.5, yet they don't give you the subgrades. So they tell you when you don't need to know, and they don't tell you when, like, oh, is it centering? Is it surface? I don't know what led me to the pristine 10, but yeah, it is what it is. It would be, I don't know. I don't really care. I only sell them. I don't really collect them. So whether they label them the same or separately, if they have subgrades, well, if they don't have subgrades, you know it's not a perfect 10 because they automatically put the subgrades on. If they do have subgrades, I guess you need to look to make sure they're all 10s because it could be a pristine 10 with one 9.5. But if it has subgrades, if it's a perfect, it's definitely going to have subgrades. So if it doesn't have subgrades, it has to be a pristine. If it has them, it could be either. Mason said he's going to get rid of those videos and make something better soon. There we go. Yeah, I mean, as long as you diversify, let me get this up. As long as you diversify, I mean, if you buy like PSA 10 Ultra Modern packs and then diversify with baby shinies and then maybe diversify with graded coins, I mean, that's coins, packs, and baby shinies. That's quite the diverse portfolio. Not at all tax advice, not at all financial advice, but Colson agrees. Yeah. So every year, depending on your age, you can put in X amount because when they limit your ability to put in, like, you can't just put in $10 million a year because it's a very good, useful account. If you make too much money, you can't put it in either. You can't put in to an IRA at least. IRAs have phase out incomes. I'm not above that, so I max out every dollar I can into tax advantage accounts. Tax strategy is massive when it comes to long-term returns over multi-decade. Again, none of this is tax advice, but it is what I do. Same thing as all this channel. I don't tell you what to buy. I show you what I'm buying. I show you what I'm selling. I tell you why. Teach a man to fish. Whatever you do with it is what you do with it. All on you what you do with it. Would you rather have one of the popular grading company, the robot grading, so you know you'll get a consistent grade per condition? I don't think you would get a consistent grade with a robot necessarily. I don't think robots are infallible either because at the end of the day, a human is loading it. Dust is present. Is dust or a hair or something like that affecting the grade? We perceive these as humans with our eyeballs. Machines might not. Like, eye appeal makes sense. Eye appeal matters. I don't think a machine seeing imperceivable imperfections should really affect the grade, honestly. So yeah, I'm not big on the whole robo grading, AI grading thing. Someday maybe employ a hybrid system where you get centering. They put it under a camera, centering gets spit out as a guideline. Not like you need to follow this, but that's my thoughts on that. If I adopted Colson, am I entitled to 12% of his total profits? I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not positive. Maybe there's one in chat. Since 1930, if an investor missed the S&P 500's 10 best days each decade, their total return would stand at 28%. If, on the other hand, the investor held, the return would have been 17,715%. So if you can determine those 10 days, good on you. I'm going to stay in the market and not try to time it. Marry him for 50%. That is relationship advice. Here we go. Mr. Walrus hit us up with a ton of great questions for Pokeflips. Dropping my question really quick. Even after robots take over the world, can you explain why they still wouldn't trust robograding? Only 63 watching because of the lack of tax advice. If robots take over, they're all going to be doing NFT stuff digitally. They're not going to need physical cards to interact with. Even us as humans might not. Pokemon blue chips. Couple that some people would have described as blue chips that I would have not described as blue chips. PSA 10 base first Charizard. Nobody's mentioned it yet, but pretty big news earlier today. Heritage had a big auction block. A lot of the boxes did better than I would have expected. Some of the single individual cards did better than I would have expected. But the PSA 10 SSB did 160, I think it was 162. I would have thought a little bit higher potentially. Honestly, that feels relatively fair. Protostois, I think, did 162 as well to match. PSA 10 first edition Charizard, that looked fine. I mean, it looked like a 9 or a 10. Some 10s that have come up look like 8s. Some 10s that come up look like really, really weak. This one didn't look really, really weak. It looked fine. It looked like a fine 10. It was a 2 cert, but it went for like 156. The lowest publicly sold since 2020, the start of the boom, when Gary sold his to Logan for 150 flat, I believe. So I'm not calling that a blue chip at all. A lot of people probably would have or did. But yeah, PSA 10 base for Zard took a pretty big hit. The no number blueback that sold for hundreds of thousands went for like 30. I think it's the same one that sold on PWCC for a few $100,000, dropped 90% and went for 30 grand. But honestly, what do I like buying best? What do I feel safest in? Ultra modern at wholesale pricing. The downside risk, someday in the future, there will be boxes selling for sub $80 again on eBay. We had it only a few years ago. Evolutions, which sells for 600 now or whatever it is. That at one point you couldn't sell it for 80. I think there will be a day again where you can't sell Ultra Modern for 80, but I don't think that's within the next 1 or 2 years. So buying Ultra Modern from wholesale distribution, that's like what I feel safest in. I wouldn't call it a blue chip still, but that's what I feel safest in. Hopefully not. We got 71 here. Hopefully I'm entertaining enough sober. But you did get a nice Denver preview when I had Jake on a few weeks ago, couple months ago, whenever that was. That was a bit of a Denver preview. I'll keep it together out there. I can put them away pretty good though. Staying away from the shots are what gets me. Honestly, if we hadn't done the shots, I can drink IPAs all night. You start throwing the hard stuff in there, that's where it gets a little bit iffy. Merrill's blue. There you go. Blue chip stocks. Blastoise. The only blue chips is binders. Pokemon DNA got an $18 return back like over a month ago, like 2 months ago, something insane. Probably not 2 months ago because it was still July, but over a month ago. Nick's got multiple back now at 18. Mine, yeah, I'm not that lucky. I still don't have November 2020 back. I still don't have December 2020 back. I don't know what's happening. Hopefully I'll get my 18s back relatively reasonable. By the end of the year would be great. I think the end of the year is approximately when the 150 days they stated would land. So we'll see if that happens. Crazy Bones. Love those things. I still have all my Crazy Bones from when I was younger. Maybe someday I'll have them behind me on one of the shelves. Too bad too bad the crossover never happened. Pokemon Crazy Bones would have been awesome. Please don't mention fishing. Charby might be here. Do I have experience with bad customers? A lot of them. It's a numbers game. 99% of tractions go very smooth. 99% of transactions are like really, really good. But let me pull up what my feedback is over the past year. This is just feedback too. This is not like probably less than half of people leave feedback. I have 2,172 feedback in the past year. Probably 5,000 transactions. 1% would be 50. So that's once a week. Once a week, I'm having an experience with a bad customer. It sucks, but it's part of the game. don't let it get you down. You just be as businesslike and professional as possible. If you need to take the hit, refund them, block them. Always block them, and don't like dwell on it. I'm not gonna recap any specific experiences because I try not to dwell on them. Just move past them. Occasionally, I do. We have a memes thread in the Pokenomics Discord. I do occasionally drop some of my interactions in there just to like blow off steam about them. But honestly, the best thing is to just get through it as professionally as possible and then move on. Oh God. I didn't see anything. I don't snitch. I don't see anything. Like when I submit cards to PSA, I just close my eyes and don't pay any attention. I would advise, not financial advice, but I would suggest buy now over auction always. Buy auctions, sell buy nows. That's the way I do it. That 10 that sold today, I don't think that was garbage. I think it was a 9+. To me, it felt reasonable. It was hard to tell. You can never tell. You look at the hollow. I think there were some K scratches. If there were hollow scratches, then it was weak. But they looked like K scratches to me. I would say that was a reasonable 10. Definitely not strong, but seemed fine to me. What do you reckon, Kyoke Bacon? I don't know if that's a question. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I bid on multiple boxes. I was trying to scoop if they went really cheap, but nothing went like really cheap in my opinion. So I didn't buy anything. That was really weird. I have no idea what happened with that. Golden did do some kind of a post. The same cert number, I believe. The same cert number. They mentioned it as selling for 666,000, and then it auctions on Heritage for 30,000. Like, I have no idea what goes on in the super high end. It's unfortunate, some of the stuff that goes on by these companies. The lack of any clarity in whether things are paid or not. It's just shady and not good. Hopefully it gets cleaned up at some point and they stop doing it, because that's just not a good look. I'm assuming this is for the blue chip. The right answer is Evolving Skies, bluish chip. Swami, it's going very, very well. Shout out to Swami. Looking forward to meeting him in Denver. Looking like a great value TCA Gaming. Looking like TCA Gaming from Wish. If you're not drinking to get drunk, what's the point? I have some 18. I normally don't look, but people have asked me, so I've looked. I think I have 118 in grading, and then the rest are in like research and ID or whatever. What's your favorite modern set to grade packs with EV Heroes? I've never graded a Japanese pack, modern or vintage. I do have some Japanese base packs that I bought kind of accidentally. I think I bought them when I thought that all base set packs have a hollow, and then I realized they only have to, so I probably have light graded packs, and they're the old style that are folded over. So that was a really dumb purchase. But EV Heroes would probably be fine. If and when pack grading goes to 25 again, I'll definitely send out more. But I sent out like hidden fades. I sent out popular cover art like species. I sent out the Pikachu from Vivid Voltage. I sent out Charizard, the Mewtwo, the Legendary Bird Trio from Hidden Fates. I sent out one of each from Generations, sets like that. It's a liquidity thing. Go for the big dogs. I'm one of Dan's bad customers. I think I have a video. I probably have a send-off video where I show it, but I can. I think all I have next to me is McDonald's. So here's going to be a quick tutorial on how I send my packs out. I think this is the one. the live tutorial on how I send my packs out for grading. Just like this. So here's a McDonald's pack, probably a PSA 10. You know, it's got this stuff hanging off. It's got these packs are really, really rough. But I put it not in. I don't cram it into a card saver. I put it against a card saver. And then I put it inside of a graded card, perfect fit. And then I usually don't seal these. I feel like it would be a nuisance. I feel like it would bother the grader. Maybe not though. But what I do is I loosely fold it over with the thing still on the sticky part. And then I just pack like 20 of them together, or however many I have. And then as I do with all my other submissions, I put them inside one of these. So at the end of the day, I would have a card saver 1 box. I would have this filled. I'd either have it filled or I'd have like 20 of them with then like something to fill the gap. But that's all I do. I've graded hundreds of packs that way. Never had an issue. I get a fair amount of 8s, but like I get more. Basically, 9s are what I'm shooting for. 9s are like make money. 8s are lose money. 10s are like make good money. So I get more 10s than 8s, generally speaking. So overall, I've done well, and that's the way that I send them. Again, I don't actually peel this off, and I just have that like loosely folded over. The pack's not gonna go anywhere because it's tight in the card saver box. So yeah, that's how I do that. I'm actually gonna have a guest coming on. Let me try to get caught up in chat. We got a special guest coming on very soon. So let me try to get caught up with chat before he comes in. I'm buying Evolving at 180. Is that a good price? I've bought 2 cases and I'm saving 20 on each box since they're selling at 200. I'm selling at 200. I think there's still a year. There's still a year window where generally speaking, can you hear me, Jake? Okay. I don't think. Okay, chat should actually hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Unless you don't want them to yet. I'm gonna work to get you on screen soon. So we've got you should hear Pokenomics in the background. I'm gonna work to get him on. But personally, I think Evolving Skies is a little bit too risky that we'll get a reprint. I think it's a little bit too risky that I'll be able to restock at 86.50. So I'm very happy to sell at 200. Obviously buying at 180 is better than buying at 200 if you're getting a 10% discount to current market. But to me, it still feels like fairly risky play just because historically speaking, reprints are definitely in play. Let me make sure I get the right thing shared. As always, I'm just doing this on the fly, getting somebody put in here. Here we go. So here's Jake appearing on the screen. And Jake, sorry, as it always goes, I can't share my video back to you. So you're just going to see it like delayed however long.
Okay.
You're lagging a little bit.
I'll assume this isn't a prank, which would be hilarious if you tricked me. If you tricked me and told me that I was on stream and I wasn't, it'd be funny.
Yeah, you're actually I'm looking at it now. You just popped up on screen if you have the chat there. So yeah. We got Jake in. Let me see if I can get a more reasonable looking camera view because this is weird now.
Oh, I'll pull up the video.
There are so many layers in this OBS stream that it's hard to grab the right one. Oh, it was locked. That's why.
Fireball time.
Oh God, absolutely not. Oh man, here we go. Let me see if I can get the
We
live
gotta
chat.
save our for Denver.
Oh,
Denver's gonna be rough.
Denver's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
That's fun.
There we go. We got Jake on screen now. We got plenty of room down below for desk cam. Let me get the live chat going too.
Just tiny.
But if while I'm sizing all this, if you want to answer that question, I already gave my answer. Evolving Skies at 180.
Oh, like buy or sell or do nothing? What would I do?
They're buying Evolving at 180. Is that a good price? I've bought 2 cases and I'm saving 20 on each box since they're selling at 200 from Blazer OP.
I missed your answer, but mine is I'm not tracking it closely enough to really know what's going to happen in the short term. Like if I was going to be doing something like that, I would be wanting to know exactly like how many were left on TCG Player, how many were left on eBay, the mass sellers selling it, or is there a place that has like 150 listed at that type of price, or 100 listed at that price, or is it smaller sort of one-off stuff that could quickly move up? I'm not like big on like I'm gonna just like buy that at 180 and like put it in my closet for 5 years. Even though that could certainly work out. I'd be more interested in like if you think it's going to like run up to 250, now might be a good time. And if you're sensing that's going to happen because you're looking at the numbers and you feel like people are buying more and more of it out, and you want to bet that there's no reprint, which I don't think is a sure thing, but it's probably fairly likely at this point. We just never know. Then that's what I'd probably do. But if you're like if you just want to have some to open it, I think it's like not unreasonable to buy it now, thinking that it probably will stay at this price or go up. I think we've had some bad macroeconomic news. Dan and I were talking about it earlier today a little bit. So I'm a little risk averse in general at the moment, but those are my general thoughts. What did you think, Dan? I missed your thoughts.
I basically said I'm actively selling at 200. So not only would I not buy at 180, I'm selling there. I think there's still historically there's like 1 year left that we could get reprints, if not longer. I'm just gonna down here show off some of my graded booster packs. But yeah, I don't like it at that price personally. Was my answer.
Mason says reprints don't matter.
Rep-
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of examples where it absolutely did matter, like Hidden Fates, like all those ETBs from Darkness Ablaze, like the ETBs from Sun and Moon Base, but they don't reprints don't necessarily matter. It all has to do with like the size of the reprints. Obviously, Vivid Voltage, reprinting crushed that set as well.
yeah, it's supply and demand at the end of the day.
But price is down. Yeah, and the reprints did down on Evolving Skies temporarily, but to like Mason's point or to other people's point, like if they all get bought up very quickly, the price can rebound very fast. And even there some positive that can come where like more people own it, more people have an interest in it. It gives an opportunity for more people to be involved and invested in some sense, which can lead to like more popularity and engagement. It's part of why stuff that like some super niche, it has like a hard time laddering up as much as stuff that has a lot of demand, but also maybe more supply. There seems to be sort of like that magic middle ground that things can hit. Yeah.
You're lagging. I heard most of what you said, but you're lagging a decent bit. I don't know if you're on like Wi-Fi or can go to wired, but you're coming through reasonably fine, but a little bit laggy. But yeah, it all comes down to supply and demand. Evolving Skies the demand can clearly handle a bit more reprints better. We don't know the sizes. We don't know the relative sizes of Evolving Skies reprint versus Vivid Voltage or Sun and Moon ETBs, whatever it may be. I've been offered it and I've been able to buy a bunch of it multiple times. I don't keep close enough track. I just buy it if the market price is satisfactory. margin over what I pay, I sell it. I probably should more actively look at, Vivid Voltage, I got this much at release, I got this much on this wave. I should probably actively track that more, but I just don't with Ultra Modern. It's becoming more and more a higher percentage of my business, so I really probably should get a spreadsheet rolling and keep closer tabs on that. Maybe I will at some point.
My sound should be better now because I restarted the internet. I'm not sure. Um, but it sounds like enough of the point was made, and you made it, and you probably made it more fully.
Yeah. Let me find the next question. Getting really behind in chat now.
I just mentioned a few examples where like reprints mattered.
Yeah.
Not sure if I got.
Did you end up buying? I messaged you. I don't think you had replied. Did you buy the Rudy kits? They sold out really quick.
No, I didn't. I just decided to pass because I want to save more money now.
Yeah. I went for 6.
Really fun. You went for 6. Yeah. I mean, I think they'll be really fun. I also think the speed at which they sold out, like it is possible that they'd have like some resale value. I don't know. That type of stuff is like as long as like value is pretty decent or some of the stuff has really good value, that type of stuff can do really well because it's like super exciting to open because there's all that like risk and various layers and chance. I did like read and I did do a little bit of math on the odds of pulling different things. And unless those like MetaZoo cards are worth quite a bit, or like the pins or like the serialized stuff, it's not a great value on the box.
Well, the odds. I did very, very quick math. I knew I was gonna max out anyways because I'm a degenerate gambler and I love Rudy, so I was gonna max regardless. But I opted to trade some Zard UPCs for 2 more. But every pin, I think is there 6 different pins? Every pin has a 1% chance of being, because if it ends in 6-9, it's redeemable. I don't know the values of all the things you can redeem them for, but
the values aren't that high part of the problem because the cases are not that high value that he's offering. Yeah.
So yeah, you have a roughly 1 in 5 chance because it's 1 in 100, 1 in 20 because you have 1 in 100. Or no. Yeah. You have 1%. Getting late. You have a 1% chance for your number to end in 6-9. But then you have that 5 times. So you have a 1 in 20 chance to get a redeemable pin. I'll probably open 2 kits. So I have not quite a 50, not quite a 10% chance, but the odds are low. The odds are low I'm going to get a redeemable thing. So basically you got to go on what's there. What these pins, it's probably going to be, I could see a scenario where the sealed goes up because people just want the gamble, and then the EV is like super negative.
Yeah, I think that some of the other stuff is the better hits actually, not the numbered pins. There are some things that are like super exclusive, but it's like 2 of them or 1 of them or that type of thing.
Oh yeah, some of them are real lottery based.
But who knows like how much those will be valued on the secondary market. And I just like, I don't really, it's not interesting enough for me outside of like supporting Rudy and the fact that I really like Rudy. But I'm like really happy it sold out. And like, he's for whatever negative one could say about Rudy, he's like the card man. So, it's cool to like see him be successful. And obviously he's like massively supported. And I think this is a much better deal and more interesting, fun release and product than like that $1,000, like promo card or whatever that he put out. There's going to be a lot more rare, serialized, interesting stuff to pull in this, and then also you get like all 3 games in it. You get Flesh and Blood, you get Magic, and you get MetaZoo. And so if you're like a fan of those games, like it's going to be fun. I think there are like 3 different layers and like there are different like slots for each game and stuff. So
there's potentially Pokemon packs too. He said some Pokemon packs from the Rudy bathroom made it in on a certain layer, and some I hadn't watched the videos as they came out, but like I was packing orders from 8 to 9, and I popped them all on 1.5x. I made it through all of them before I purchased. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope he just sent an email recently. It'll take a solid 2 weeks to get everything done. I hope I get one in hand because I want to bring one to Denver to open with people at Swami's. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
So
fun.
hopefully that happens. Colson's got a question for us though. Why does every company in the collectible space suck? I think this is in reference to, I don't know if you saw it, but did you see that post by Golden saying that the PSA 10 no number blueback Charizard sold for 666,000? I think that's what this is in reference to. So there's a PSA 10 no number blueback that it sold on PWCC. Let me see if I can find it quick. Um it sold on PWCC like a year or two ago for a few $100,000. You remember that one when it was Pop 1,
Sure.
but then Rusty graded 1, and there's one of them that's not labeled the right way. That's also, so there's at least 3 of them. But
Hmm.
it sold a while ago for like 300 something thousand. Out of nowhere, Golden makes a post. It wasn't even in an auction block. I think they were quoting like a private sale or something, claiming that it went for 666,000. And then one, it just sold. I think the same cert number as the PWCC one just sold for 30 grand today, a 90% drop. Um, Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, I full
be
screen.
careful out there. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I obviously I have no idea what's going on there. But it's just so important to like buy stuff that you like and buy stuff that you understand and buy stuff that you enjoy, and you don't chase crazy. I mean, the Thompson market in general was so crazy for a while. Like we had, and I won't name their name, but like, we had like a guy who was talking who like didn't really understand that market, talking about it and pumping it. There were other guys who like followed him very closely. Very weird. Who was kind of buying those. It's the type of thing where like they're just the demand for that stuff was not very deep. And then you seem to have a few like very wealthy people, rich pockets, bid very high and buy out the few copies that were graded. And then when like a few more copies have been graded, there just isn't that depth of people who want to buy that card. So for me, to me, like 30,000 for that or whatever it is, that's a lot of money still. I mean, I don't think that's a bad, actually, that feels more realistic to me.
Well, the
Um,
crazy part though is just the fact that like as you said, it had to be someone that was rich. Then why did it come back up for auction a year later? Like
so sorry. So the story is that someone bought it for this specific one for 600 and some thousand.
I'm gonna get everything up on screen. I'm screenshotting right now so I can just pop the images up.
Yeah.
So here's what I have. There's definitely one that sold.
I mean, there were multiple sales, but this specific one is the one that sold for 600 and then just came back. Is that the idea for
If
41?
someone can DM me quickly, if someone can DM me somewhere the golden post, I didn't find that quickly, but yeah, here's and if you look at the cert number, you might not be able to read it. Here's the one that sold on PWCC. It sold on May 20th, 2021. The cert ends in 394. The same exact one, literally the same copy. So it's a no number, but it's not labeled as the no number. Still, it is though. Um, Sold for 192 in May of 2021. Same cert, same everything. Sold today. It sold this afternoon with Heritage for $31,200. So like I agree, it was probably some rich person who didn't know anything about Pokemon. Why would they be selling so quickly? Like obviously you can't answer that. Nobody can answer that, but it just mind blowing. Like
I mean,
presumably they don't
it
need
could
the
also be a
money.
situation where, I mean, it could be a situation where they expected it to go for a lot more. And, with the economy, the risks in the economy right now, they wanted money. They wanted to liquidate. They were concerned it would go down even more. And maybe they assumed they would make about 200,000 off of it or 190,000. And they were okay with that because they don't like it. They bought it because of some recommendation from someone else. I mean, there were a lot of people who came in who had been here only a few months who were buying like very expensive Pokemon cards in crypto. And we can talk about why that might be and why wealthy people were buying Pokemon cards in various ways. And, you know, there's a lot of theories about exactly what was going on there. Some avoidance strategies. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible to speculate exactly what happens. But I mean, these are cards that I think were dramatically, not dramatically, but they were undervalued and underappreciated for sure. And then, this was a card that I don't remember a PSA 10. Like, I guess it was pop one, so I don't think that ever came on the market. But I'm trying to remember like how much like the 9 went for back when I was looking at these. I'm not even sure if like one came up, this specific card. But this card probably was, a 9 might have sold for a few thousand, which maybe less, maybe even only 1,000 back then. I wish I could remember. We could probably look it up.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm trying to find the 600, and if someone can DM me if they know what I'm talking about, if they have a link to that I think it was 666,000 they claimed, just like out of nowhere, seemingly,
yeah,
relatively recently too. They post so
yeah.
much.
So what's the concern that they posted that to try to push the price up on it or something?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea anymore. Uh, um,
Because we led into this saying like companies are bad. Why? What did Golden do wrong? What's like the um the
I,
concern?
I don't know exactly if this. I don't know if this was specific towards that. There's so many things I could say about PSA, all the other grading companies. I don't want to turn into that, but I figured it was in reference to the Golden Post. I mean, similar along the same lines. They were pumping up that triple logo man. Oh, this is gonna be a $5 million, $10 million card, whatever it is. Like when you have an auction house who makes a percent of the sale, saying what it is going to go for, what it should go for, that is absurd. That is insane. That is allowed to happen. Like I know this is unregulated. These are not what's the word I'm looking for? These are not securities. So you can basically just do or say whatever. But the fact that an
I
auction
agree.
house who's owned by the grading company grading the card, like that they can say what it should go for. That is absurd.
And
Um
it's normal. So like in the high art market and other places, like it is normal for auction houses to have specialists on their team, like recognized experts give evaluations because before an item comes up. It's like normal practice. So if we believe that Ken Golden or that someone there who's doing that is an expert on Pokemon or is an expert enough on this market to give like good valuations, and he's doing it as like a professional and not, but um all of what you said is true, right? So and this is true for like the high end art world and antiques and everything. There's this concern, right, that like, well, if the auction house is doing it themselves, even if they have an expert on staff that's doing it themselves, they seem to have a incentive, obviously, to give the highest valuation as possible, so that it will go for the most, and they'll get their as high a percentage as possible. Also, they want to make the buyer happy, so that the buyer comes back, lists more things with them, et cetera, et cetera. I think the counterpoint to that is that if they do that, they'll lose. If they manipulate or they lie, they'll lose credibility, which hurts. So like this type of situation makes them look really bad, right? So like them coming out twice with really high prices and now valuations and then it not meeting them is actually really bad for their branding and bad for the consumer confidence. It also shows why like it's crazy like the fact that these cards have like no price history and price points, like I don't know how they're coming up with their numbers, I guess, is part of my sort
yeah.
of like, it's like where do you come up with that triple logo man should be worth 6 million? It feels, and obviously, Ken Golden with Pokemon, like I don't know. Now if he's showing a past sale as a way to encourage or to say like this is what this used to go for. And then, like, I don't know if that's like him saying like it should go for that now, even though obviously since then the market has like dramatically, has shrunk, and this card has sold a couple of times. I mean, what's that line between like he's marketing, right? He's just showing a price that this used to go for to try and encourage people to bid higher. I don't know. People are gonna there's sort of him giving sort of an expert analysis and price analysis, which they're going to write on their sites, like Golden or Heritage or other places are going to write on their sites, right? Um, Trying to say like this is our estimation of what it will go for, and then there's like the blurb that they write, trying to like entice people, right? And then maybe there's like advertising they're going to do around a big item, and
So I
I
I
think it's up
can't
to everyone out there to decide.
I
Sorry.
can't I can't see the cert number, but I did find Nick in chat said that Rusty had it in his video. So here I just popped it up. It's they called it a one of one as well. So they called it a one of one, a PSA 10
Yeah.
gem mint, blue back no number Charizard, one of one, sold for $666,000. Like, what is that? Where did it come from? I can't see the cert number, so I can't say if it's the same exact one. But like, maybe it did happen. Maybe it was in the golden vault, the PSA vault. Maybe it transacted privately. Rest in peace to that buyer if it did happen. But I mean, what is that? A 95% drop from 666 to 30K.
Sure.
Absolutely obscene. But that's what's going on with Golden and Heritage and the no number Charizard. I don't want to get sucked into talking about all the negatives about all the companies, but they've all got some out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to everyone to protect themselves and understand what the companies are doing, and then decide if it's too scummy for you, just go somewhere else. It's There's a lot of moving parts right now in the hobby, and in the variety of hobbies. There's a lot of new companies. There's a lot of competitiveness and companies jostling for um, business and position. And as the market shrinks from I think what happened, right? I think this is my basic analysis. I think we were in a bubble. Pokemon was in a bubble, and then that bubble sort of burst, and we came back down to a more stable thing, which I think we've been in for almost a year now, coming up on maybe 8 months of it, 8 9 months of it. But I think now that the economy is in a fairly risky, dangerous situation, and interest rates are going up, like all of these businesses are going to feel the pressure, because I'm sure that they borrow money, I'm sure that they operate on debt, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of things. And so because of all of that, plus you're going to have a lot of people, a lot of rich people who are going to tighten their purse strings 100%, and are going to stop buying these really expensive cards. I think, I'm still amazed. I mean, I'm amazed that, like, if we look in sports, how well, like, that Mickey Mantle sold for over 10 million. Like, their cards are still going for astronomical amounts in this time period. But I would have to imagine that that stuff is still creeping in, and we're going to see companies, particularly companies that aren't doing very well, potentially do more desperate things. And when you're, to Dan's point, like when you're in an unregulated or fairly unregulated environment, like that's the most dangerous time where they can really like push the envelope. Whereas publicly traded company isn't going to uh, uh, be able to lie publicly about their stock. They can, they can, although these companies that are publicly traded, they can't talk about their stock or inflate their numbers that way, legally, but they can talk about cards are not securities, to Dan's point. So saying things that you know may or may not be 100% true, or maybe a little bit misleading, or doing things that may be a little bit on that gray area, they may not get into like legal trouble for that. So it's more on everyone to like protect ourselves, and try not to get like too bummed out by it. I think try to find places and people and interactions that where it's like you can still enjoy yourself despite that sort of noise, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah. Trying to look for the next question. There's a bunch of them. We're not going to be able to get them all. I'm like 20 minutes behind still. I haven't priced these graded packs yet, Brad, but I'll try to get them up on eBay relatively soon. Oh, here we go. Zach, Gem Mint Pokemon in the chat. I did find $493,230. The card is listed. This thing sold. This is the same cert number too. So this is at Golden actually. Zach is saying it sold publicly for $492 at Heritage. I see $493 at Golden here. So maybe that's the same one. He just mixed up the auction house. Then $192 at Heritage, then $31,000 today. Same cert all 3 times. What that 666 post was probably just Heritage misquoting. Like how do you pull up, how do you post the wrong number? How do you post these things as paid when they aren't? Like, yeah, you can't get too hung up on it, but you got to realize that like there are definitely people out there that don't have your best interest in mind. There are definitely people out there trying to pump things as much as possible. Even though we're in like a more broadly reasonable market, it's not stonking as much as it is or it used to as it did in the peak bubble, but there's still people out there for sure. You got to watch out for. If you see any questions in chat you want me to highlight and take, let me know. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in chat. I'm actually getting close to caught up. There's a lot of conversation, but not too many questions, unless I skipped a couple. Oh yeah, no rarity went for 264K though. I did see people talking about how that is now the king. That's above the base first Charizard. The true first edition, right? English is just a reprint, and then the one without the rarity symbol was first, so the truest of the true first edition.
Yeah, I try to buy things like that when they're out of popularity or out of favor. Yeah. things tend to cycle. So it's the same thing with like autographs. Like there's lots of things that will cycle in and out of popularity. And I think all have value and merit. And sometimes they're like undervalued relative to the rest of the hobby, and sometimes they're overvalued relative to the rest of the hobby generally. And it seems to shift with, so I would try not to chase. Like if you see something go for a lot and then you're like, oh, now I want it, but I didn't want it when it was less. That's something to just kind of be aware of, right? That oftentimes things going for a lot makes them more desirable than they were before.
Absolutely. Like right now,
you want to be at the
like if and when they print Evolving Skies, which maybe they can't, maybe they can't print it down. I mean, I know they can, but maybe they won't. Maybe they won't print it down sub 100. More people want it today at 200, buying it, waiting for it to double to 400, than would want it if it got a massive reprint wave that brought it down to 100 for like 6 months or a prolonged period of time. I see it all the time. Like right now, I'm actively selling through Troll and Toad Evo, and Evolving Skies, when I'm the low list for that box on Troll and Toad Evo, even if it's $10 or $20 over eBay sales, the thing just goes same day, instantly. I don't want to completely sell out in case a reprint doesn't come, so I'm kind of hedging against that a little bit. I probably should just sell off at 200 all the remaining ones I have. But yeah, people absolutely, everyone knows buy low, sell high, but so commonly people buy high to sell higher, and then panic when it goes down and end up selling low. That's why, going back to the not financial advice, going back to all that, that's why you don't try to time the market with like your retirement account. That's why the prevailing wisdom is to just invest periodically. Check it quarterly or annually, not every single day. Don't get hung up on emotions and because people sell at the bottom of the 2008 pits. People sell at the flash crash bottom of 2020 in April, and then they like refuse to buy back in. And yeah, it's crazy human psychology around this type of stuff. Mason with a good quote. If you want something after
Yeah.
seeing something go for more than you thought it was worth, that's the definition of a bag. Absolutely.
And I think that yeah, it's so human nature because we want what we can't have basically, and we don't want what we can have. And that's a huge part of investing and you're trying to predict sort of what that next thing is going to be always, or things are going to recycle back. Now, over a long period of time, like investing or speculate or whatever, you know, beyond just like Pokemon cards, but like putting your money in things that have a value to people, a really solid fundamentals, right? That is going to be that is a stable objective reality that is much more difficult to change or shift versus sort of people's opinions at any one given moment. So that's why putting your money, like, no matter what the current sentiment on base set is at the moment, or the current sentiment on gold stars, or the current sentiment on whatever, on certain historic trophy cards, right? Like, these can wildly fluctuate in price, but in general, if the Pokemon hobby goes up over time, these things will go up once they find equilibrium prices. Now, with super rare niche items like trophy items or very low pop cards, you can see these things fall 60% from one comp to the next because there's so few of them and so few of them sell that one sale, two people could be willing to spend 500,000 more than the next sale. So you have to be aware of that, of the possibility of that. Um, uh, and the danger of that. But sort of outside of that, I think that these things, the fundamentals of a lot of these types of items can withstand people's really like negative opinions short term. Um, and so when you feel a lot of negativity towards something that has that, um, uh, um, generally speaking, it's decent to slowly pick that type of thing up or buy that type of thing. But in this market, we could be in for some more pain ahead. So you want to definitely be kind of slow with it and careful with it.
Yeah. Colson's got a good question here, I think. What would it take for you to turn down a 2x? I actually like that question. Cash flow is, well, future projections of price is always the main consideration. If I have a 2x looking me in the face and I think the card is going to fall drastically or the item is going to fall drastically immediately, I'm going to sell it. So, like when I had special delivery Charizard, that was significantly more than a 2x. That was like I paid 150 to grade it. I had 20 into getting it because I had to buy something in the Pokemon Center. So I had like a triple up basically. I think the future price trajectory, at least in the short to midterm, for sure on special delivery Charizard, is down. So I took it immediately. I did not turn down that 2 or 3x. I took it. What would make me turn it down? So Celebrations UPCs, back when they came out, I immediately had a double up or a triple up from wholesale pricing. I still have some of those today. Not too many, but the main reason I held when I originally could have gotten 200 or 220, whatever they were going for, I don't remember that price history perfectly, is because over the short to medium term, I expected them to go up. My cash flow was fine. I didn't need to take the 2x when I thought a few weeks or a few months later I could get a 2.5x or a 3x. And in that case, it ended up happening. I sold most of mine between 250 and 350. I only have a handful left, but the main reason I turned down a 2x is because I think I could get more relatively soon. But oftentimes I take my 2x's and I just sell. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely don't have any like hard and fast rules. everything is constantly by feel.
Mhm.
Um, it also really depends on your current financial situation and how much you want to collect things. um, for me, that factors into it. But Colson, like if you're trying to run a business and you need the cash flow and you don't have a lot of excess cash flow, I think it's generally uh, you're gonna be on the side of selling whenever you make any profit. But that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be situations where, just to, as Dan's point is, like you feel very confident you're going to 2.5 or 3x that you want to keep a little bit of that. But the more inventory you have, the more you can constantly be selling, and the more you can sort of afford to hold, particularly items that you think are rare, are going to be difficult to get back, or you think are very undervalued by the market. um, you're going to want to probably implement some of that into your strategy over time as you get a bigger and bigger inventory. But I think particularly in the, towards the beginning, whenever you can take profit, particularly with anything that you feel like you can get back fairly easily, I'd be taking that profit pretty quickly. And
Yeah.
definitely in this environment, I would lean more on the taking profit in this environment, um,
And I think you
than I
said one
might.
really important thing too is like a lot of people try to say immediately sell anything when it doubles automatically without thinking about it. I think you can't have like very commonly I'm asked questions looking for a specific rule. What percent of market do you pay? What percent of gain do you sell after? There's no hard and fast rules. It's all by feel. Like depending on the item, depending on cash flow, depending on future prospects, depending on so many factors, there's never like it would be great if there were just 5 rules you could follow that would guarantee to make you money, but there's no like set, nothing is set. It's all fluid, it's all dynamic, ever changing. Blazer OP has a question. Will alt arts become the new gold stars or shinings? In the long term, I mean, also, will people want to open boxes and paying high prices to pull it? Me personally, one thing that worries me, well, not that I'm actively worried about it, but with gold stars, they're very, very hard to pull, but they're a lot easier than alt arts as far as specific ones. So a lot of the gold star sets, they were 1 per 2 boxes, 1 per 72 packs to get a gold star. I believe the biggest set gold star wise was 3. Some of them had 2, some of them had 3. So a set like that, you're looking at a 1 in 216 approximately. 1 in 216 packs to get a specific gold star, 1 in 72 to get any gold star. With alt arts, you're looking at pull rates 1 in 1,000. So will people actually be cracking boxes in the future to get Moonbryon when you need to open 30 boxes on average to get one? Maybe, but I mean, so much of the hobby is built on gambling. I mean, the core of the hobby, the core product of the hobby is a booster pack. It's a mystery pack, mystery box. You pay $5 and you got a chance at hitting hundreds in a lot of these sets. So maybe, but when the odds get that astronomically low, it might discourage people from taking that gamble. Because you can open a base set pack, a WotC pack, you've got a 1 in 45, 1 in 48 chance at hitting a lot of those specific chases. From an unweighed pack, with a weighed pack, which you can't really do as easily with modern. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I mean, you can open a base unlimited heavy pack, base first edition heavy pack. You've got a 1 in 15 odds at hitting a Charizard. So, yeah, those are my general thoughts. What do you think, Jake?
I think I think that your money would be much better spent if you're thinking just as purely as, like, getting a card that's going to go up in value or retain its value the best, like in like an X and Y full art, of a really popular Pokemon that you could get for $300 to $600 in PSA 10 if you can find one. They're extremely hard to find, extremely hard to grade. The booster boxes are much, much more expensive. It's going to cost you more to pull it, even though the pull rate's going to be easier, and it's going to be way, way harder to grade. And it's the first ever full art, which to me is more important than the first ever alt art, when alt arts were actually in Sun and Moon. In the long run, that feels like a better bet. I also just think that alt arts are the most talked about thing. They're the most in demand thing. The most people are going after it. That is where I would place my bet. Now, is that a guarantee? Absolutely not. Who knows what's really going to happen. Um, Uh, but that's my general feeling. I think PSA nines of a lot of those full arts will be rarer than the PSA tens of the alt arts when all is said and done. Than a number of alt arts.
J Rob wants to know, what are your chase cards for the collection at the moment? There's a lot of cards. Any card I've never owned, I would love to add to my inventory someday. There's nothing that I like need. Need is a bad word around these parts when you're doing business in the space. I would love to own a Victory Orb Mew, a Pika Ring. I would love to own a TMB, SSB, Illustrator, Original Trophy Pikas, Half Art Pikas. But to allocate that amount of capital towards one of those and not have that actively flipping, participating in my conducting of business is just too big of an ask right now. So it's unlikely I add any new pieces. Tropical Wind that went today, BGS 9 for like mid-teens. I thought about it, but yeah, just with the uncertainty we have in the broader markets and the Pokemon space, I just didn't feel comfortable tying up nearly $20,000 in one card right now.
Chase cards for the collection. Nothing really pops into mind that's like a key one. I'm just slowly, trying to fill in holes. Um, I've been buying some and selling some, and I'm selling some doubles and trying to buy some like missing WotC hollows from sets, or even like common and uncommon cards just to complete sets. Filling in, buying some raw stuff to fill in holes in like binders. That's mainly what I've been doing in Pokemon. As far as like bigger purchases, I'm always trying to buy like those champion stamped cards if they come up at a reasonable price. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the I view all this stuff as a very long game. So it's not something that I'm, in a rush that I need to fill or complete anything right now. There are some goals that I've given up on temporarily or sort of moved aside, um, such as some middle generation PSA 10s that I was trying to track that I've sort of given up on for the moment, at least.
Beta Investments asks, what do you guys think is going to happen with the Precious Collection box with that Pikachu promo? I forgot about that. I pre-ordered one of those a long time ago through Bai. I think that's coming pretty soon. I think that's a mid-October release, maybe a November release. I have no idea. How hard can that stonk when so many stonkers are focused on the Zard UPC? Divided attention. We'll have to see.
Sorry, what was the question, Dan? The one on what do you think guys think about the Precious Collection box?
Yep.
I don't really know enough about it.
Did you pre-order one or no?
No.
I had not directly. I more did it to just go through the experience. That's the first, as far as I remember, Japanese product that I directly pre-ordered through Tenso. I just wanted to like learn how to do it. If and when a Mario Pikachu type thing comes up, if and when a Rocket case comes up, if and when a gold Charizard comes up, because those are 3 releases that I passed on years ago. I wanted to kind of like break the seal on direct pre-ordering through Japan, just in case it's ever useful in the future. So it looked neat too, so it felt like a reasonable buy at retail. Which card was hardest to sell because you wanted to keep it in your personal collection? My full art Pikachus. It was too much money to turn down, although I did turn down on the number 1. But yeah, I miss them kind of, but like I didn't even see them day to day. I saw them quarterly maybe when I went to the bank and went in that safe deposit box. So that's part of what made it easier to sell too. the amount of capital that I was, the amount of liquidity that I was given in exchange, and then the fact that I wasn't even seeing them hardly ever. So, any big things you've parted with, or have you avoided mostly?
I sold some low pop like level X's that I'm don't necessarily regret selling so much, but like I don't know when I'll ever get them back. Um, or if I will.
Yeah,
Because they don't come on market very much. And that was a goal that I almost completed, including like the secret rares and the reverse, like the reverse shinies from those sets. And I just was missing a few, and I sort of like gave up on it because I was it was so hard to find them. And then I sold a few things that I would have kept if I was going to like work to complete that goal, if that makes sense, to kind of focus that money elsewhere. Um, Eventually, I you know would like to get back to completing those goals, hopefully, but it's probably going to be a long slog. Um, but the truth is part of why I'm okay selling like tens of those is I'll be just fine if I like complete it in nines, right? Like,
yeah,
although the tens may be very unrealistic, um, uh, to ever be able to complete it, or it will cost me like a huge amount of money because some of these cards are like pop 2, pop 3, pop 4 that I've sold, or pop 5. Um, um, it'll I can definitely get them in nines, and I'd rather put that money towards like a champion stamp right now for myself, or cards that I think are, they're literally 6 to 12 copies in the world in any grade.
yeah. It is
So
crazy to think that PSA 10 set card. I don't care what the pop is, but a PSA 10 set card going for more in some cases than a champion stamped 106 or whatever. Feels like a
yeah,
good exchange of value.
and I think that it makes sense though to some extent that they go for more, because it's a set card that people are a lot more connected with, that people like open as a kid. A lot of people are trying to buy them now, and there's literally like 3, 4, 5 in PSA 10, and some of them there's been zero graded in like 3 years during all of this grading. You know what I mean? So it's like if anything makes sense to sell in a PSA 10 for multiples, in my view, for a collector who really loves those cards, like that makes sense. I'm a little more concerned with people who are like paying astronomical amounts for like pop 80s of things when like 20 have been added in the last year. I'm a little bit less, um, but I get it, but I also like I decided to go for that champion goal, and going a little bit more of that absolute right. That was part of the decision, and then the other part of the decision is, just having a little bit more money, a little bit more cushion,
Mhm.
for potentially buying in the future, etc. And also like uh, buying a house and other sorts of purchases that I have planned, for the next few years.
Have you ever thought about doing a complete Pokédex binder? I have a partial one somewhere that I started years ago. There are so many binders that I'd love to do. I just don't make the time for it right now. I've been full time for over a year and I still haven't gotten through my backlog. I mean Jake can recount the horrible hoarding mess that he saw when he was here. Once I get caught up, if that day ever comes, maybe I'll focus a little bit more on stuff like that. Or as the kids, I think it was probably before you were in chat, but I mentioned that my son has been asking more and more lately to like open packs and stuff with me. I think I'm creating an addict. So if and when my son or my daughter get really into it, I did give my son my first binder recently, so I'm like helping him make a binder now. Maybe that'll get me into building like a Pokédex binder if my son has interest in doing it.
has been asking more and more lately to like open packs and stuff with me. I
Your
think I'm
sound
creating
came
an
on.
addict.
That was me.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, I'm like muting 1,000 Discords right now. It's so
Yeah.
irritating.
There's
I've
a
literally muted like 7 things. Is there a global mute button I
there's
can
a
press?
global mute. It's in
Where is that?
I don't know where. I have my
I
desktop
hope that
one
I got
always muted.
Yeah, sorry guys. I would just close it, but Dan's having me like literally go through Discord right now. So
Yeah, we're in a Discord
like,
call right now. There's a way.
so I hopefully I got them all now.
Yeah, there's definitely a global in the settings somewhere. There's a global just mute all. Yeah, no. So it's in settings, notifications, and then you just click disable all notification sounds, and it's just a thing you can turn on and off individually. Yeah, if you go into user settings, notifications, and then scroll down, it's right there. Anyways, though, J Rob the Collector says he asked what my day-to-day activities look like in the hobby, eBay comps, checking out auctions, etc. I am, again, being a hoarder, I have a big backlog. I am trying to behave, not looking at too many auctions. It's hard to do because prices are so low and it seems like there's such good value buying certain things, but there's always something to buy. There's always going to be opportunity. I'm trying to really crack down and like not spend for the next few months, get caught up. That said, like I'm a MetaZoo partner, Seance is coming out. I'm paying my Seance invoices this weekend, and then when that lands, I've got a pallet. I'm gonna open a couple hundred boxes, and that's a lot of work. That's not like that's actually contributing more to my hoard, my mess, my mountain of product. But yeah, aside from that, I'm doing the consignment thing. Average day, I ship daily now. I used to do 3 days a week, so average day, maybe an hour packaging orders, couple hours listing either my own things or consignment things, maybe an hour or two managing Troll and Toad Evo and or new product releases, or yeah, it's so hard to go day by day, but that's a rough breakdown. And then whatever time remains, if I ever don't have something to do actively, I go to the mountain of product and try to like chip away at a monster box or chip away, get stuff listed, get stuff bulked out, get it sent to Evo, wherever it needs to go. Yeah, Mason, I did 400 boxes of UFO. I'm doing 500 of Seance. Going big. Obviously you're not full time in this, but what's your typical? I think you do a lot more like analytical looking up, which I do some amount of that too. I consume a lot of content. I look at pop reports occasionally. More so every 3 months when it's my turn for the shout out Pokenomics Patreon. When it's my turn to do a presentation for that, I'm spending a good part of my week putting together a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint or something to present to the Patreon. While we're on that topic, this Sunday night, Old Skool Pokemon will be our special guest on the Pokenomics Patreon. Live Zoom call Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern till 1 a.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm. My day to day in the card world. So I mean, recently, I went on vacation for a couple of weeks. For those who didn't know, I got some messages saying like, "Where are you? Are you okay?" So obviously, some people didn't know that. So I was on vacation, and then for those who don't know, I've like taken a new job. I have a bunch of deals right now that I'm working on, real estate deals that I'm working on for this new job. That's taking a lot of my brain power. As you guys can see, I'm probably talking really slow tonight and probably being kind of dumb and not making as much sense or articulating that well. So I apologize. My low energy is due to just like an analysis exhaustion. I'm pretty happy that. Thank you so much, Nick, for coming in. And I know this wasn't my month anyway. Dan would have done this month, but I really appreciate you, and I think you'll give a great presentation for everyone. But these deals that I'm working on are about to clear up, so I'm then gonna have a lot more time again, and that's sort of like gonna be, I think, a little bit of the pattern of this new job I have. So yeah, before that, my normal day, I probably spend like 3 to 4 hours a day on cards. Uh, Whether that's buying, selling, or just looking things up. Some days I'll spend definitely more hours than that, and I would say that that's like pretty straightforward. Jared with the Clutter says, "I thought you were a psychiatrist." So I wasn't a psychiatrist. I was a therapist, a mental health. I wasn't like a doctor, but I was a mental health care provider. So close with with the exception if I didn't prescribe medication. Um, but I left that job 3 4 months ago. I'm still going to do it part time. At some point is my plan, but I wanted to take a little bit of a break from that and do some. I really enjoyed sort of like financial analysis, and I had this opportunity presented itself basically for me to do it for a company and learn. I've always been interested in real estate and learning more about real estate, so yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, no problem. No
If anyone's
problem.
got any other questions in chat, I'm fully caught up right now. Sorry to cut you off.
No problem. So, yeah.
You got your inventory getting ready for Denver yet? Have you figured out what you're bringing?
I'm in good shape with that. I pretty much have everything. I am starting to do prices a little bit, but with price fluctuation, I almost like don't want to do it too early, even though
I'm
I'd
gonna
like
wait
to
till
just
the
get it
week
done.
of. Yeah.
Exactly. But I have my price gun, Nick. I bought the price gun that you graciously lended me. So I bought the same kind so that I'm familiar with it, and we'll be using that for sure for this event. Definitely encourage people to go out and buy a price gun if you're going to be vending at this event or multiple events. And it just makes it so much easier. And people are often going to be, I think people are going to be so much more interested in your cards if they don't have to like ask you on every single card what it's worth. And they can just sort of take a quick look, see if you're in the ballpark for them on any card, and then you can kind of negotiate and go from there. So would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Very, very, very worthwhile investment because it's like, it only costs like 80 to $120 for one.
Oh, you went with a nice one. I just searched quick and I saw some options as low as like $20. I
Fair
actually
enough.
I might get like a label maker. I feel like a label maker would work fine for it. Labels probably have a similar feel. I have so many. Hopefully, I downsize the amount of totes and boxes and stuff that I have, but constantly I'm like going through a monster box. I just create more boxes as I go through it, and then I don't label them, and they end up in a stack, and I forget what's there. And maybe I'll get a label maker that doubles as a price gun or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I would love a label maker.
what kind of like what general things are you bringing as far as inventory?
Um, all arrows, basically everything, honestly. From $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000 trophy-ish type cards to $50 to $100, set cards to even some like $20, $30 modern stuff. Um, and because I'm gonna get a whole table this time, I think I'll have room to kind of lay it out. So I'm gonna probably have one case be sort of, first half of Pokemon chronologically, and then the other case maybe be the second half. How about you? Have you figured out exactly what you're gonna bring, or are you still working on it?
Probably. So I'm gonna fly out Thursday night, probably Wednesday morning, I will figure it out. I'm not too stressed about it. I don't really care if I end up selling that much. I'm actually probably not even going to go to the convention Sunday. It's way more about the after convention hours, networking, hanging out with people, all that stuff. But I'm gonna have heavy packs. Somebody actually asked me where to go. Lord Pokesmoke. I'm gonna have heavy base unlimited, heavy jungle, fossil, rocket. At a minimum, I'm gonna have probably Japanese base starter decks. Um, at a minimum, I'll have all those. I might have some more. I tried winning boxes today, but it didn't happen at Heritage. But I'll probably have 20 to 40, nothing crazy, 20 to 40 slabs, whatever I can fit in my carry-on. That'll also be packing my clothes and stuff. The wife's coming too, but she'll probably have her clothing and stuff for Denver in the fall. Will probably fill her carry-on, so I'll probably just have to work with mine. But yeah, I've got a table. I'm just gonna use a part of it and then allow other people to use some of that space too. I mean, making sales in person is great. It's fun to transact in person, but actually another question I can pivot into. J Robs, do you prefer in person trade show for sales or just eBay online? The air quotes, the passive, the semi-passive nature of eBay, set it, forget it. I wake up, I ship whatever sold, the rest just stays till it sells. I love that part of eBay, the semi-passive nature. Work on my schedule when I can, when I want to. Trade shows, like I'm flying 2,000 miles to go bring a handful of cards that may or may not sell. It's cool, the experience, to be a part of it. But as far as like if I had to do only one or the other, eBay all day, like hands down. I never want to have a brick and mortar. I never, if I had to give up one, it would be selling at trade shows. Though I do like it. Just 3 or 4 times a year max.
Yeah, financially speaking, for like a business, for any sort of sizable business, it's probably fairly unrealistic. But for sort of one-off people who don't sell all the time, I think that they're awesome because you can save fees, you can get higher prices for your cards than you would even be able to online sometime, plus then saving the fees. It is definitely a crapshoot, though. Unlike on eBay, where you can just list your entire inventory or anything that you might want to sell, and maybe 1% of it turns over every few days or something like that. Um, bringing you can only bring. I mean, depending on how much inventory you have, right? I mean, you can only bring so many cards with you to a trade show. You only have so much room, or it's difficult to bring them because of travel, etc., or just like fear of theft or fear of loss, or whatever might affect your decision making there. Um, and then you might bring the wrong ones. Like there's a lot of randomness of like, did you happen to bring the right ones that the people at the show happen to be looking for and wanting?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like random luck involved. Where on eBay, everyone has access to everything, and you're not going to miss any sales because you brought the wrong card. I mean, I suppose with Dan, like, if you have so much inventory, you can't post it all, right? Or you're getting way too much in your backlog is so huge that you can't, because it takes significant time to list items. Um, uh, Even for someone like Dan who's been doing it for a while and is going to be fairly efficient. Um, but yeah, so that's what I would say. But for me, like personally, which one do I prefer? I definitely prefer selling at shows if I can. I like meeting people. I like avoiding the fees. I like selling to someone who like really wants the card, getting to see who's buying it. Like all that stuff makes it much more personal and much more enjoyable. Like it's super fun. Um,
Yeah.
super enjoyable way to like interact with people, particularly like if they're really excited or it's some really niche, hard to find item and they finally are able to get it. That's just really cool.
Yeah. Agree. Do you think the new era coming up in Pokemon with EXs will stunk as much as alt arts? The new crystal hats seem like a bad idea for cards. I try to not have like too strong of reactions when new things come out. I think the normal reaction is new is bad and OG Gen 1, Gen 2 is all I care about, and I'm just gonna let it happen, see what happens. Yeah, that's my whole take. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. I'm excited that they're expanding another generation, more Pokemon. I think it's cool. It's good that they're still chugging along as great as they have been.
Yeah, I think trying to like predict how much people are gonna like future stuff before it's out is not something that I would. Yeah, I feel like we can do. It's a good question though, it will be super interesting to see um how people feel about it when it does come out. I do think like a lot of like the opinions people are sharing right now, it seems to be, yeah, like I'm very much in Dan's camp of like, let's wait till we see the cards. I do remember it's very funny. One quick thing that popped into my head, like people were super negative on the like team up sets and the like because people were like, it's gonna suck to have like two Pokemon on, and I don't like that they're changing Pokemon. Like there's a lot of negativity there. Um and then when they came out, like there was a little bit of negativity for maybe a little bit, but then it like shifted really positive over time. And now it's like very positive. Those sets are very liked. So it's just sort of interesting. Um, Sometimes it takes uh like narratives get sort of started and then it takes a little while for them to kind of shift or change.
Yeah, people are very fickle, and the Pokemon space is no exception.
Yeah, and Pokemon's like been doing a really good job of everything really. I feel pretty much. I mean, I feel like across the board are doing quite a good job. I'm sure there are things to complain. I'm sure Mason could and and other people were dealing a lot in it. There are sets that were printed too much and sets that weren't printed enough, and there issues with getting them enough supply and their relationships with their middlemen, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure there's annoyances, but I think from a collector's perspective, I feel I've just been really enjoying sort of the different directions, the alt arts, the golds, the new designs, and I'm looking forward to what's next. I think it's fun. Just it's exciting to see like what art they're going to do next, what's going to be the chase card next.
You missed my reveal. It'll be coming up on screen for you in a minute, well, in a few seconds. But the PK stream, the one that you were in as well, the Charizard came back. It only got a 9.
Oh yeah,
Cleanest,
boo.
cleanest, yeah, cleanest Zard I've ever pulled, and I've graded 5 10s at least. I've graded, I don't remember exactly how many, but 2 or 3 base unlimited, and at least 2 or 3 fourth print as well. And this
Oh
one,
wow.
what's that?
I said oh wow. I've actually never graded I've never graded a 10.
Oh yeah, I graded
Bunch
some
of
horrible
nines.
ones.
I probably graded 25 plus nines, but none of them were 10s. I've never been like disappointed and like that one really should have gotten it.
See, I never pre-grade anything as 10s. I pre-grade things as 9 pluses. Some ones that I pre-graded as 8 9s, graded 10s. PSA is too lax on
Yeah.
silvering, in my opinion, and some of them had really bad silvering from years ago. But this one was
Yeah.
honestly, I felt like it was the cleanest one I've pulled out of the 15 probably I've pulled based on limited Charizards. And, well, based on limited and fourth print. And it got the 9. It is what it is. It makes it easier to keep though. It makes it easier to PC it because I pulled it myself. I'll sell the Spectra Pikachu I pulled on that same stream. I can't see those grades as 240p.
I also got a 9 pretty recently on a Crystal Charizard. Unfortunately, I was really hoping for a 10 because it's a huge card in a 10.
Crystal Guardians or Crystal?
Yeah. Crystal Guardians, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That exact Charizard.
Yeah,
Actually, I think mine was actually a reverse holo, but who knows if that's more popular these days.
yeah, I have no idea. Desi,
Or
we've
the
been
reverse
talking
holo.
about Denver Collecticon. It's like 3 weeks, I believe. 3 weeks from today. Well, 3 weeks from tomorrow.
I think someone answered him, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Someone helped us out.
Oh yeah, Brad. Nick's gonna undercut me, so Nick and I split boxes. We split boxes. We split a couple down the middle. He took a portion of some. He said he's gonna price his heavy fossil and team rocket for 1 cent less than mine.
Nick has, what is it? Everyday best
Everyday low
everyday
price.
prices.
Yeah.
Everyday.
Oh, speaking of that, I listened to Nick's video today, his return video. He sold a PSA 10 reverse hollow Zapdos legendary collection. What do you think that card would be worth today? PSA 10 reverse hollow legendary collection Zapdos.
PSA 10 reverse hollow legendary collection Zapdos. Did you sell it, buy it now, or auction?
Buy it now.
Buy it now. Okay. I'm gonna say a PSA 10 of that is worth 1,500.
That's what he sold it for. So when I priced mine, I took mine. I took one in on consignment, and I looked at recent sold. Recent sold were like 1,000 to 1,600. I think there was a 1,600 several months ago, and then they've been in between like 1,000 and 1,400. So I priced my consignment at $19.99.99. I had a lot of people instantly offering me between 1,500 and 1,800, and I said no. It's 2K. It's 2K. Take it or leave it. Someone eventually bought mine for 2K. The way eBay works, and I need to make a follow-up video on this because I talked about it several months ago. eBay, I use the out of stock feature. So when I sell an item for buy it now, it doesn't go into the sold history. It only goes into the sold history if you look at TerraPeak. It doesn't go to Pokemon Price. It doesn't go to PSA APR. It doesn't go to Pokedata for whatever reason. eBay just obfuscates any sales history of buy it now out of stock items. So yeah, Nick mentioned in his video he sold it for 1,500, and I texted him. I'm like, I got 2K for mine like a week ago.
Wow. Yeah, those are great sales either way, because trust me, we were buying those for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the guy that I'm
most of. Yeah, it's those have.
That's another thing that was out of favor and now everyone's stonking on.
Yeah. Those have 20 to 30x still. Whereas like the jungle stuff I was buying at the same time and the base first edition is now only 3 to 4 times the value, just so people know. So it's part of why, not everything has retraced the same and or gone up the same. So, but it's interesting. Very interesting to watch all of those things. And you kind of, like someone like me, I just try to take all that info in, and it does inform sort of the purchases and the decisions I make in the future. And I try to figure out sort of what happened there. What was the narrative? What were the patterns that led to that? But at the end of the day, like it's a guessing game to some extent. And in one instance, something like that'll happen, and then you'll have a similar thing that just doesn't happen for some reason. It's very interesting. But those PSA 10s were $80 to $120.
Yeah.
$150. Like maybe the Zapdos was more towards the 150. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny because he did what I do. He pulled up recent sold on eBay. He looked at low list on eBay, and he didn't see my 2K sale, so he priced his at 1,500. And he's like, "Oh, it sold instantly. It was great." Well, it probably sold it probably sold to the same guy who bought mine for 2K.
Yeah. So the fifth was 50 to 2. Yeah, so we're talking like, well, Nick's might have only been, I mean, if it is 150, we're talking only a 10x. But if it's towards the lower end, because I think that card may have been towards the lower end actually, because I think I bought their Arcanine. The Mewtwo was the most. The Charizard and the Mewtwo were the most expensive back in the day. I assume they're still the two most expensive. I know that Charizard is by far. That Charizard is going for so much.
Oh yeah.
The Mewtwo I used to be the second most, or it was back in the day. I'm not sure what it is now.
I
But
don't know if Zach is still listening, Gem Mint Pokemon, but I sold him a PSA 9
yeah,
Reverse Hollow Legendary Collection Charizard at 2019 Worlds. I believe he was going to crack it and get it signed by Arita at an upcoming event. I think I sold him that for like 350 bucks. And it was a little bit of a deal for a friend, cash in person, but it wasn't like super cheap at the time. And I don't know what it's going for now, but I know Reverse Hollow PSA 9 Charizard is going for a lot more than that. 2400 looks like last sold. And that's just from 2019.
whereas a lot of WotC stuff, there's even some WotC stuff that's only, I mean, only doubled.
Yeah.
um, particularly, I'm seeing there's a lot of like CGC 9s and 8.5s coming back into the WotC market that is definitely pushing the prices down on everything. I'm not sure if you're following that part of the market at all. It's interesting. I was going to talk about it a little bit at Patreon this month because I think it's interesting.
I've
Um,
bought some amount of them, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to not buy or even look at pricing too much. I'm trying to sell what I have and get better handle on what I have.
yeah. I used to love Zach's videos as he was collecting that set and other sets. I those are some of the first videos I watched
Yeah.
um, when I was getting into the hobby. Those legendary collection videos.
Zach is still here because he said he ripped me off bad. No, he said it was a fair deal. It got a 9/9, so 9 auto 9 card. So he cracked it. Thankfully,
Is
he didn't get downgraded on the grade. Um, Couple quick
Zach
questions.
coming to Denver?
I believe, yeah. Zach is already booked for
Yeah,
Denver.
yeah, no, awesome.
I do want to hit two questions real quick. Devendra, sorry if I said that wrong. Have distributor prices been increasing for booster boxes? Historically speaking, I was paying on average 82.50 per new set release. Now I'm paying 86.50. So they have definitely been going up. Um, it's weird though, like Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike. I can't get some of those anymore, but there was a period where I could get some for 79.50 because Fusion Strike was there by the truckload and no one wanted it. So I picked up 10 or 20 cases at 79.50. I think Fusion Strike is still there, but I want to say that's like 84 now for me. Chilling Reign Battle Styles are completely gone unless I want to get them. There's a not to give away my distributor I'm talking about, but they have two warehouses. One of them is very far away and the shipping cost is not great. So, but yeah, generally speaking, distributor prices are increasing. Um, XTY Uzi is looking to use a vault service. Do I have any experience with vault services? I use PWCC. For the past couple years. I've had 6 figures worth of cards there, quite a bit. And I like them. Biggest thing I don't like is the inability to properly advertise and sell when they're in there. One thing they used to have that was great was the cross posting on eBay via auction and buy it now, whichever you chose. Now you got to just sell on their own platform. eBay Vault is kind of like rolling out. You can't directly send to input directly to eBay Vault, but if you buy a card that's worth over like 250 that's graded, you can divert it to the vault instead. I'm going to use that in my business in the future. Just I'm not using it yet. Desi asks, well, he's asking Nick, but I mean, you're involved in that as well. What's the trade night shaping up for next Saturday? How's that looking?
Oh, it's looking great. Yeah. Yeah, Nick and I, and really Dan TCG did the legwork. So thank you, Dan TCG on Instagram, for contacting Let's Play. Um, what's the town, Nick? If you can put it, I think it's I'm blanking on the town
Somewhere in
that
New
it's in.
Hampshire, right?
Hooksett, New Hampshire, I think.
Yeah, that sounds
But
right.
yeah, Nick can confirm it. Yeah, super excited. It's gonna be great. I've had a number of people tell me that they're gonna show up. So hopefully, we'll have a pretty good crowd, and at the very least, like Nick and I know PK is coming. Um, I know Don Diego is coming with her brother. Um, uh, but at the very least, like Nick, Dan TCG, and PK will be there the entire time. So, like, if you want to hang out with just us, worst case scenario, that's the situation. um, and but hopefully we'll have a good crowd, and I don't think we have to worry about it being too big. Although now people have been telling me like maybe a decent amount are going to come, which would be funny. But I don't know exactly how big the space is. I think the space is fairly big, so we should be fine. But
Yeah,
even if we can get 20, 30, 40, 50 people, that would be really exciting. And Nick and I really want to work on really expanding and just having more local events for Northeast people, because the collecticons haven't been in the Northeast, and although there are plenty of decent card shows around here, none of them focus on Pokemon or even like non-sports collectibles. They're really very sports focused. I know there's a pretty good Philly one that has a bunch of non-sports, but it's not so much Pokemon. So yeah, so we want to do that for the hope is just to do that for the community around here and help build it. So I'm all
mhm,
for that type of thing. In-person events. If I can help make more in-person events happen for people, that's a big goal of mine. And I assume hopefully it'll be a success, and hopefully this will be a repeatable event that we'll do. I don't know how often, but few times a year, maybe. I don't know. We'll sort of talk about it after it happens and see what our all of our schedules are like.
yeah. Yeah, I mentioned earlier before you hopped in, I think Connor, Rock Pokemon, was in chat earlier. He asked me, because he's in Rochester, I'm east of Syracuse, kind of in the middle of Syracuse. There's an upcoming show. I think it's the weekend before Denver. We might meet up there. We might go to that. So if anyone is in the Syracuse, New York area, maybe I'll put. If I'm going, I'll definitely post about it on Instagram. Maybe I'll do a community post on YouTube as well. It's still up in the air whether I go or not, but I think Connor is definitely going. I want to say Syracuse and Albany. I think they're more geared towards sports, but I ran into one randomly. I went to a mall in Albany, and in the center of the mall, they had a card show that was like 6 tables big. It was tiny, but there was actually some Pokemon. There was some Metazoo. I bought a few things, and my son opened them when we went to the restaurant for lunch. So, yeah, it would be great. I don't want to get to where I'm going to something like every month or every weekend, especially. But to do an extra couple events that don't require flights, that would be cool.
I think too, it's the type of thing that, particularly if you can find some other people to do it with, like Nick or I or PK or whoever is involved, like we don't all need to come to all of them,
Yeah,
type of thing. And particularly if you can get a nice base of people and develop a good relationship with an LGS or a place to do it, um, it could be a bi-monthly, every 3 month type of thing that is sort of like you know, some of us, all of us will try to be there type, who knows? But
yeah,
just get something going for people. So, and I know with your schedule, Den, and your family commitments and stuff, for sure, it's you have to sort of spend your weekends wisely, let's say, away from your family, because they're,
yeah.
you don't you can't take too many.
Well, the wife is coming to Denver, so if I
Yeah,
can get her to start
very
coming more frequently, it's again my son's really getting into opening packs. Couple of years, maybe the whole family will go. Then I can really
good.
up the number a little bit.
She wasn't gonna come, and then she saw that live stream, and she was
Oh
like,
yeah.
these guys are really impressive. Like, I really like.
She honestly probably thought I need to come to make sure my husband doesn't
Yeah,
die and I
exactly.
become a widow.
Yeah, exactly. I was pretty surprised that you would come after that debauchery.
Probably to babysit me. We started dating in college, so she is fully aware of my capabilities when it comes to the likes of what was going on in that live stream. It came as no surprise to her when yeah, we were still awake, having not gone to sleep that night when she was waking up with the baby. uh
Yeah, Mason, you got to host some events, man. You got to host some trade nights. Thrifty says she's got a spot near Providence. Yeah, let me know. I mean, if people are around the Northeast and have relationships or own a store and want to have a trade night, like definitely reach out to any of us Northeast guys. You know, we're definitely down. Unfortunately, Mason's a little bit too far, which is also good for Mason because again, I'd be showing up at his store at random times, I'm sure, and just wanting to open product. So
Yeah.
it's good. Probably there's a little bit of space between me and Mason's store for both of our sakes.
At some point, I definitely want to visit Troll and Toad, and I definitely want to visit my distributor that shares a building with them. Mason, how far are you from Troll and Toad? A couple hours, I think, right? I'll definitely have to make a weekend of that at some point. Find where we are in chat. Thrifty asked me, "Do I feel dumb not sending that Charizard to get inked?" Kind of. So I cracked out what was it? A PSA 3 Charizard to send it to CGC. I absolutely should have sent it down to Thrifty or to Ernesto to get it inked, to get it signed by a read in Ocala. I didn't make that play though. I sent it to CGC for grading. I sent it under the bulk. No, what tier did I send it under? I might have. No, I think I sent that at a higher tier. I forget if I did subgrades. I forget what I did with that, but hopefully that's coming back soon. My Spectra Pikachu. I'm at 1156 if you have timestamps on. The Spectra Pikachu I pulled got a 10. I think that goes for around 2K, so that goes for higher than the 9 base Zard. I'm definitely going to sell the Pikachu. Blazer asks, with all these big box store exclusives being really bad, what do you think? Why do you think Pokemon is shifting to big box stores other than letting LGS have them as well? I think, well, one concern that I think people have that is probably quite valid. Will Pokemon go the route that Magic seems to be going right now and do more and more premium type products direct to consumer? Because that cuts the LGS, that cuts the cash cows that usually help LGSs survive. That cuts them out and it puts all that extra margin right into Pokemon's hands. With these big box store exclusives, it's along the same lines probably to an extent. They're probably getting special deals with with Walmart, GameStop, whoever, Target. Maybe that's more lucrative for them somehow. Some deal they have, some relationship they have. I don't know how all of that works, but long term, I have a little bit of concern that Pokemon does more and more of that. Because even though I'm not like a brick and mortar LGS, like I'm gonna do very well with the Charizard UPC. If and when products like that solely go direct to consumer, that's taken away like my highest margin product throughout the year. That's my I buy a fair bit of super low margin stuff to flip throughout the year, with Charizard UPC being like my year end bonus. So if that goes away, it is unfortunate. Mason has a video coming out tomorrow on it as well, so tune in to Mason over at Cardinal Gaming.
Yeah, that feels like a defer to Mason type question for sure for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add on that one from what you said, Dan.
Okay. Crown asks, thoughts on value for these less desirable alt arts around $20 to $30. The value seems decent, even though the Pokemon aren't popular. The pull rate should still be just as hard, plus some really nice art. I'm not speculating at all into them. Maybe I should think and play more in ultra modern individual card specking, but it's something I've never done. I think a bit of a trap is there. I think there's a bit of a trap in it's going to cost me X amount of money to pull it, so it should be worth more. That's a dangerous trap, I think, personally, because so much product is printed and so much product is opened. Even though you as an individual, yes, it would cost you $1,000 to pull this card that only sells for 30. Billions of cards are being opened every year. tens, if not hundreds of thousands of copies of all of these cards are being opened. So it doesn't like certain cards at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much it would cost you to pull one when sufficient raw copies are out there for the demand at any given price point. That's my take. I don't know if that makes sense.
Um, I like the idea better than going for the ones that have the most attention and the ones that I think have been bought out the most. I think specific buyouts from like individuals and groups of individuals are pushing up that market a lot. Um, I don't think that's affecting these cards nearly as much as like certain higher flyers. And I like the idea of like the reason these are supposed to be great is because of the art. So why are some of the really great art cards of less popular Pokemon so much cheaper, even if the art is better on some of them, or at least just as good? So the difference in like it feels a little bit like some the narrative. It's not really about the art so much. A lot of it's about the buyouts and the money, and you know, so I would prefer to go after these or some of them, but for me, it's just a skip altogether at the moment as far as like trying to speculate. But I would feel a lot more comfortable like picking up some of like the ones that I think are the most beautiful arts, particularly if I think that this is like the best art ever of this Pokemon or the first kind of like full art great chase card of this specific Pokemon um, that maybe is less popular and tends to get less attention or less love. Uh,
Next question came from J Rob, and I'm gonna use this for a little bit of self promotion. Um, so at the very top
can
of
I
the
add one more
stream,
thing? Ken?
what's up?
Can I add one more thing? Can I
Oh
add
yeah,
one more
yeah.
thing on the pre before that I just thought of? So, I mean, the only issue I would have with what I said is that the truth that is not borne out in rainbow rares or level X's are a little bit different because the low pop, but generally speaking, like hidden fates, the it's a little bit murky the data because some areas it's true, some areas it isn't. But the point I'm going to make here is that if you track what's happened in those other sets, the stuff that has actually performed the best are the key cards, even if you bought them at a higher rate from a percentage growth rate. Um, and holding the price. But I don't know if that's going to be a long term pattern. And I don't feel comfortable enough because it really only makes sense with the rainbow rares because the level X's, it's so determined by pop because like some of them are just so low pop that even if they're not a popular Pokemon, they're worth a ton of money. So it kind of falls a little bit there. Um, but yeah, I think it's sort of this interesting thing. In back in WotC, in like Neo Discovery or something like that, where you have like uh certain less popular Pokemon that are in fairly low pop selling for really high amounts, higher than the more popular Pokemon. I don't expect that to happen here. Obviously, like, why would the pop be lower, first of all, on one? But if you happen to find one that was printed like considerably worse than another one, which we may not even know yet because no one's actually grading, or very few people are actually grading these $20 to $30 ones. But like, for example, if you realized early on that the Umbreon, Moonbreon is extremely easy 10 grade, but this other one is a very difficult 10 grade. And I'm going to like try to buy up some of those 10s like fairly cheap. That there's historical examples where that pattern has worked really well. Like that's where I've made a huge like percentage gains by recognizing that early and by making that play. Now, there's still going to be a lot more of those than anything like a Yanma, like with like very extremely low pops, or like in level X's getting like pop threes, pop tens. So there just may never be enough demand. So even if only like 510 Beedrills get graded versus like 10,000 Moonbreons or 15,000 Moonbreon, whatever it is at the end of the day. There just may not be enough demand that difference matters. Whereas you had enough set collectors and people who were super passionate about completionists to buy up and pay really high amounts for like the Yanma and 10 or the level X's and 10. So there's some speculation for you. Or some ideas, but yeah. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No problem. I'm gonna same shameless self promotion and just to pick on Nick a little bit. So my thinking, J Rob asked, why did you feel the price at 2K even without recent sales in that range? Just curious. So you'll see here above Jake and my head, there's a green little banner. It's the card. It's a Zapdos Legendary Collection Reverse Hollow PSA 10. I'm not a big pop guy, but when I'm selling a card that is a PSA 10 WotC and I know it's low pop, I don't think I put that in the title, but just for my reference, I put it in the spreadsheet so that I knew recent sales were between 1,000 and 1,600. Historically speaking, 8 years of selling in this hobby, buy it now, sell for more than auctions consistently. The consigner said that they were pretty patient. I'm not too worried that pop 40 number is gonna double overnight. So I feel like this is a good card, a fundamentally good card. It's Zapdos is a pretty desirable species. The 10, if I remember right, was a pretty decent 10. And the low list that I was competing with, you can't see my column labels here, but the $3,000, that was the low list. So my main competition is the $3,000. The recent sales is the 1,000 to 1,600. To me, we like round numbers. That just screams to me $2,000. I know every time historically that I've listed a low pop PSA 10 WotC card like this, I've always gotten people messaging me. So I knew that even if the 2,000 wasn't going to make a sale, I knew it was going to get people to message me. And it did. Within a couple days, I had at least 3 people offering 1,500 or higher. And I basically told them all that. I said, hey, you're one of multiple people who offered me this. I think this card is going to sell for 2,000. Be the one to buy it or don't be. It doesn't matter to me. And then somebody snap bought it. 2K. You can see the last 2 columns actually. I listed it on... I don't have the day that I listed it. I need to catch up on some of but it sold within a week or 2 of being listed. And yeah, just that's a feel thing. Like I said, there's no rule of thumb. I don't list at X% over last sold. I don't list at X% below low list. 100% a feel thing. This was the data. That was my thinking. That's why I did. Honestly, the consigner, the person who sent me the cards, they looked over my spreadsheet to approve the pricing before I listed them. This was one of the cards that they said they felt was a little bit high. And I said, let's go for it. So yeah, that's all of my thinking. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. Sorry, I thought you were done. My apologies.
No, I was just gonna wrap up and say like that was all my thinking. That's how I got to where I got there. And at the end of the day, just to pick on Nick, to my consigner, I netted $1,600 after my fees. Nick listed a buy it now. He grossed $1,500 minus fees. So not only am I beating last auction sold, I beat the most recent subsequent buy it now sale. Shout out Old Skool Pokemon.
So, and as you guys saw, I also priced it at 1,500 in my head. When Dan asked me, what do I think Nick sold it for? So, to get 2,000 feels like a really strong sale, and I'm fairly engaged in that set. That was definitely a strong sale, but not a ridiculous sale.
No, these things are very liquid, non-fungible. People ask, what's the price of this card? Cards don't have singular prices. I would say the price of that card is between 1,000 and 2,000. I got the peak. Nick got in the middle. Some recent auctions got low. I mean, Nick outperformed the recent auctions by 50%. And you might say it might have been luck. The market might have been short-term starved for that. Someone had the money, wanted the card. That's the nature of buy it nows. A card like that, you have more leverage as a seller, I think, because again, it's pop 40. It's a Zapdos. It's a very in card right now. PSA 10 Reverse Hollow Legendary Collection is a very in set right now. So that's what led me to pricing it at 2K. And And it could have not worked out too. Someone could have undercut. If it was timed a couple weeks apart, Nick's would have saw mine at 2K. He would have priced his at maybe 1,800. He might have got the sale to the same person I did, and then mine might have sat for 6 more months or a year, and the prices could have gone down. Like, there's no exact science to it. I'm joking a bit when I say how good my service is, and I do think I can do a good job and sell your cards properly and get you good realized prices, but by no means am I saying that I'm a whiz and I'm gonna sell every card for 50% over market.
He's a whiz. He's an expert. Pay him like one.
Yeah.
And sub, by the way, sub to this channel. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get some like. Let's get some sub. I'm not gonna say another word until this video.
Yeah. Hold on. I lost it. I had it up there at one point. Let me see if I can bring it back.
I remember drunkenly,
there it is,
like trying to do a bunch of that. I think I was also trying to lower your subs in that stream.
We're like, whatever happens, if this number moves, we're happy. Make it go up 20 or down 20. Just make it move.
I want to feel the power. Yeah, I want to feel listened to. So
I'm getting flashbacks. Yeah, wait until this starts moving. I'm getting flashbacks. Let's see if we can make this go up or down by 20. Whichever one happens first, we'll be happy. Make the number move.
Much easier to go down just on sub, guys.
Oh, absolutely. Let me see where we're at.
I need to go plug in my computer quick.
Oh, okay. I'll try to find the next question.
Okay.
Zard Hunter's wife doesn't like Collecticon, but we still be going. Is your wife is going as well, or she doesn't like that you go and you're going alone? I don't know if I skipped a bunch. Oh yeah, Desi. I sold the first PSA 10 Charizard I ever graded and sold base unlimited. I bought the box for like 600, I want to say. I graded and sold it for 300. I'm like, this is perfect. I paid for half the box. I paid for half the box with the one card. So to me that was great. Mason, speaking of Zach ripping me off, not ripping me off, but speaking of Zach buying my reverse holo PSA 9 Legendary Collection Charizard at 2019 Worlds, I want to say Mason, Camps Cards, bought a... Remind me, Mason, was it it was raw. I had just bought it, a local collection buy from Craigslist. It was Sparkle. I want to say it was a Sparkle Charizard for a few $100. Probably graded at a 10, probably sold it for thousands. Wrecked me. But it's good when I made a profit selling it for what I sold it for. He made probably a big profit grading it and selling it, so it's a win-win. Good stuff. All plugged in?
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do we have another question?
I haven't found one yet. I was just commenting on a couple comments. Mason's 2.5 hours from Troll and Toad. They're way the heck out there. So they're in the woods. I like that. I got to go find them at some point. And you. I'm going to definitely stop into Cardinal. Did you buy any through GameStop of the Arceus UPCs? Ancient Mew wants to know.
No, I haven't been buying any modern product at all recently.
I did get 5 of them. I don't like it as much because it's an exclusive product. I'm not getting it at the ground floor. I like getting the Zard UPC at 80 when the retail's 120. I don't like paying 100 on a $100 item. Yeah.
I hear you.
Here you go. AP's got a superhero question for you. Are we doing just Pokemon, or can I ask Jake a superhero question? Why don't these 80s babies care about DC cards? Do you know the history of why DC cards aren't a big deal?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, there are some cards that are fairly valuable. I mean, obviously you have like Topps, like you have like the original like 1966 Topps Batman stuff that's that's expensive, and but and then you're very very old, like vintage Superman, and like there's a bunch of different Superman cards throughout the years, but yes, generally speaking, DC stuff. Um, my main guess would be that they just never did like a I feel like they have cards that sell as well as like the oh my gosh, what are they called? As like the masterpiece cards from, and they might do they have masterpiece for DC? Is that what it's called? I'm blanking right now. I don't collect the modern DC stuff, so I don't even know it too well. But they don't have like PMGs. They don't have like those metal sets, and they don't have like crossover cards from sports using sports inserts that are highly recognizable. And in my opinion, that's what's driven the Marvel market. And I think if they had like Batman and Joker PMGs, those would be very valuable. Like those would do extremely well immediately. I think if you took any major IP and you made PMGs with them, they would be quite desirable, including DC.
Very, very quick. I have nothing to add on that, but very, very quick question. Lord Pokesmoke asks, do you have a different printer for your packing slips and for your labels? I use a Brother laser printer for my packing slips and just general printing. I use Dymo Label Writer. I have a 4XL for printing 4x6s for like PayPal and stuff and Pirate Ship. And then I have a Label Writer 450 Twin Turbo for printing 2x7s for eBay. So yeah, I have a few different printers going on. Justin DIR. With super rare vintage cards, what amount of whitening and hollow scratches could still obtain a 9? I saw a Pichu with lots of scratches get a 10, and much better examples get 8s. It's absolutely absurd. So what you're describing is the...
Don't get Dan started.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
What you're describing, I could rant on for hours and hours. You're describing the overlap in the grades. You're describing the inconsistency, the inaccuracy, the imprecision in their ability to grade cards. So all that said, like on average, 10s are going to be stronger than 9s, which on average are stronger than 8s. But there are very much inconsistencies throughout, and you can try and leverage that. You can try and buy clean 8s and upgrade them, or you can just buy clean 8s so that you get cards that you really enjoy for cheaper. Me personally, I've always bought the card and not the grade. Jake says buy the card and the grade. I buy the card only. That's where I am essentially. If I'm flipping it, I buy the card.
Dan's a liar. Dan also buys the grade. You don't just buy the card. That's not
if
true.
I'm flipping it, I buy the card and the grade. If I'm like collecting a card only, like I do not care about their opinion. I am better at grading cards than them for myself. Like honestly, like they look at it for 30 seconds. I can look at it for 30 minutes or 30 hours if I want to. I don't, but I could. So yeah, I'll keep my rant to as long as I just took.
I only collect PSA 10s because I'm not interested in cards. I just like the cases and the look of the case.
Like those numbers that...
case. Yeah. Actually, I don't even like the cases. I just like the labels. I just want the label to say on it. That's actually the only thing I care about. I don't even care about the case. To be
See, I do lie because I'm literally a label collector. Let me see. This is one of the bags. Where'd they all go? Somewhere I have like 300 labels or 400 labels of cards that I've cracked. So I literally collect labels.
I think that 10s can definitely be undervalued. I'm definitely far more, if this hobby is going to succeed and sustain itself, there's a lot of reasons to be very bullish on 10s and certain 10s depending on the price you're going to pay. But yes, if you can get a 10 that also is quite clean, that's definitely a plus. But for really really low pop stuff, there are people who are going to want the set registry. There are people who are going to care, but it's not going to be a deal breaker. And like that will always be the case in this hobby, in my opinion. That will never change and it's rational. Um, and these people realize what they're buying. Like they're not delusional. Now, was there grading mania? Is there a grading mania on things that are very easy to get a 10 on? Yes.
The
But we've
thing,
already
yeah.
seen a lot of that. We've already seen a lot of that get destroyed, I think.
Just to
But
close
that's one
out,
way to
the more
yeah.
of a premium you spend on the plastic, the more money you can lose. The intrinsic value of all these things is zero. When you spend $300,000 on a PSA 10 no number blueback Charizard, you can lose $300,000. If you bought that same card in PSA 9, probably was going for $30,000 or less. You could lose 100% of your investment, but your investment is smaller. It's less money. So, and honestly, for most cards, there are 9s out there stronger than some 10s. So, like, that's just, there's so many reasons I stay away from PSA 10s. I'm very happy to sell them when I get them graded, always.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think that there are many cases where buying the 10 is gonna be your cheapest way to get the 10. And in fact, particularly for your lower pop 10s, that's almost always going to be the case. I think that it's extraordinarily difficult for certain cards and extraordinarily unlikely for you to be able to find a raw card that will grade a 10 for a lot of these types of things. Certainly opening packs is extremely out, right? We know that obviously, but even buying raw stuff or even buying a lot of slabs and trying to crack them and grade them, I think. But it really depends on the card. It really depends on the card. We're not talking about anything even close to modern when we're talking about this, right? Um, so and I would agree with Dan for like 98%, 99%, probably 99.9% of cards.
yeah.
uh, but I can tell you that for 10 collectors or for people who want to complete 10 sets of very low pop stuff, like find, you're not going to find like the cheapest option is to just buy it.
Yeah, Mason
But
Camp
that's not investment advice. That's as a collector.
Camp's Cards bought a raw Sparkle Charizard from me for $450 and a staff card, and I think it was not a 10, but PSA graded a 10 because that's what they do sometimes. So that's an angle that I always have in mind when it's a numbers game. Any card 8 or 9, you submit it enough, you can get an error of a 10. It's not something that I do. It's not something that you should do. But
I
PSA,
mean,
they are
I
not
don't know
on it.
about that.
I mean, 2 certs, 0 certs, 5 certs, 6 certs. Any card that's greater than 8, any card that's a true 8 or above can be a 10 eventually. I'm not saying that you crack out an 8, it's going to be a 10 next time. That's not what I'm saying at all. You submit a card 50 times, it's a 10 one time.
I don't agree with that. Like
Have you seen
necessarily.
have you seen the 10s out there? Have you seen what gets 10s
They have
sometimes?
they grade millions and millions and millions of cards.
And I see tens of thousands of examples. Some that I own, many that I don't own.
Okay, but do the division there. You'd still be wrong, right?
1%, 1%.
Like
Maybe you have to grade them 100 times.
maybe well, that's much better. I mean, because we're talking numbers, right? So like grading a card 100 times is a lot more. Is double the amount. I mean, I agree with your point. I just think that like you have to understand that like the amount of expense, the danger of damaging the card each time you do it, like it's not realistic for a lot of items. Like, and it makes no sense to do that on eights. For a lot of items. Now, there are going to be items and situations where it does make sense, and I think to be fair, I also just have like a subjective. I don't like cracking. I don't like messing up the pop reports. The whole thing is kind of unpleasant and leaves a little bit of a distaste in my mouth. Trying to like game the system that way. But I understand. Like I have done it a few times because I've had stuff that's just been like so egregious that I was just like, no, like I'm regrading this because this is just BS. Like that's very different to me than like taking a card that is clearly an 8 and submitting it again and again and again until you get
Yeah, but
like until you
there's no
trick
such
them,
thing.
basically.
I've never seen a card that is clearly an 8. I see a card that on any given day, it could be a 7, 8, or 9. That's the way I see cards. They are not precise enough.
7, 8, or 9, sure, but there are plenty of cards that like that I look, and with the amount of whitening, it's like this should not be a 9, but I can see it as an 8 in my eye.
Like they are not precise enough for me to grade anything. Like I can say 9+. There are cards that are clean enough to be 9+. 50, like 80% certainty, I can say certain cards are a 9+, but so many times, like the average pack fresh card from WotC is like weaker. It's like a 9 probably, sub 9 slightly, but there are so many cards where the only difference between the 9 and the 10 is one white dot on one corner. And I've graded so many PSA 10s, 6er era, 4er era, 2er era, that had white dots on all 4 corners. So like 90+% of what I grade is like pack fresh, super 9+ condition.
The grading standards have shifted, which is part of why that like I'm still trying to get my bearings a little bit in this sort of new grading era. But so I do agree that if you go back into the older certs, you're going to see lots of 10s with those types of things. I do think the 8s,
they're in the 4s and 6s too.
Like, it's very rare that they're 8s. Now, do I have a few? Yes, of course. But I have tens of thousands, right? Like it's there's a humongous number of cards that it takes to find that. So, I
could go into a stack of 10 PSA 10s and I would find at least 3 that on any given day could have been a 9 as well.
Oh, of course. Well, 10s can have, I mean, 10s can and do have, it's extremely rare to find a 10 that doesn't have something wrong with it.
And honestly, right? Like there are times that I have cards that are like perfect.
Maybe not extremely rare, but like, 50-50 or 60-40, there's going to be something. Or even, I would say 80-20, there's going to be some mark or something.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Some graders, some days, all it takes is one mark, and they'll make it a 9.
I was talking about the 8 to the 10.
8 to 10 is more rare. 8 to 10 is more rare. But a card...
Because to me, an 8 is not just a small white dot on the corner. Even all 4 corners, if it's really small, to me, that's still a 9. Obviously, today, they could grade that an 8 easily. It's whatever. But for me, like what I think of as like this is this is really an 8 is like maybe a slight off centering or perfectly centered, but with a fair amount of that sort of edge wear. And then if it's a hollow, you've got like, a very light maybe print line, maybe very light surface scratching. But usually, if you even have light surface scratching, you're already getting down to a 7 usually. But that's my sort of feeling for an 8. And I can't think of, I've never gotten a 10 that should have been an 8 ever.
Oh,
have I gotten 10s that should have been 9s? Sure, but I've graded thousands of cards, and I truthfully I can't think of a something that got a 10 that I was like floored because this card is like barely an 8, type of thing.
I mean, I definitely have, but I try not to look at them too closely. I try not to look for issues because I just want to sell them. And like, I'm gonna pop up an image here quickly. It's actually a consignment card. I've been messaged on it multiple times. It's a 4 cert, which are the hardest, cleanest, nicest cards. It's a PSA 9 with like a massive print line. It's got some issues on the back. Like it's not. It happens in every era. It's just always been a thing. Always will be. Not even just because they're humans. If they ever go to robots, like look at the print line. I don't know how well you can see it, but this is a 9. And a print line on a 9 is fair. I have 10s too. I was thinking the wrong card in my head when I pulled this one up. But like I have 10s in the 4-cert era with a print line like this. And it just is what it is. Like if I try to, going back on companies being bad and doing bad things, if you try to authenticity guarantee, or if you try to not authenticity guarantee, if you try to financial guarantee a card that's a 10 that shouldn't be, PSA is going to say it's a 10. They're going to lie, and they're going to not pay out the insurance on what they're supposed to. Look at Professor Oak Cali. Look at the Nidoking he had, the Shadowless Nidoking. It was an 8 at best. It was an 8 if not a 7.
And I have at least 3 or 4 cards in my collection that I'm thinking of that are 8s and they're graded 10s.
Yeah.
But I didn't grade them myself.
And PSA won't stand by that. They will say our head grader said that was a 10 to avoid paying out $1,000 or $500, whatever it is. Yeah, that's
I mean, it's not, that is what I'm debating. But I get the sort of push on the argument to just be like, grading sucks. Let's all just like forget it, and it's all useless and worthless. And that's a very personal decision, that people can decide. I just think it's a little bit of like, that will never, if the hobby stays sort of like this, like, chasey collector vibe in the hobby, that it will never go away, in my opinion. And I think it provides like a lot of value
at the cost to a lot of people get hurt by it though too, which isn't the greatest feeling.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, yes, it can definitely like increase the hurt, but like, what do you mean by that? Like, people who are just like speculating and investing on like slabs that they shouldn't be, and the slabs themselves are causing more of that like FOMO or more of that overspending. I mean, I definitely.
Some of it's a weird thing too, though. Like some people, again, I've mentioned an item can only be a bag if it has like improper future optimism or like future price appreciation built into the expectation. If someone's buying though, just as a collector, they have the money, they don't care, they're just consuming it. It's still like maybe they wouldn't be in it if grading wasn't a thing. But people that are buying $150, $5 packs that are graded PSA 10, ultra modern packs, like, they're being hurt by it, even if they don't have future value in mind. They're still spending way more than they would be. But maybe they wouldn't be in the hobby. Maybe they wouldn't enjoy it if there wasn't a piece of plastic with a 10 on it. So, like, even though they're spending way more money than they have to be, maybe, I don't know.
It's a binary. I don't think it's a binary of, like, enjoy or don't enjoy. It's that it makes it more enjoyable. It just increases the things that are already enjoyable about the hobby.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is like the enjoyment of just like having this like graded and protected, so I don't have to worry about damaging it. Like, I don't have to worry about damaging this super expensive valuable card. I can hold it, I can display it, and I'm less stressed out. So like for me, like when I have a very, very expensive card and it's not graded, it's stressful to some extent. It's like a little bit unpleasant. Right. But once it gets graded and I know what the grade is and I agree with the grade, or I feel the grade is like fairly reasonable, there's a certain amount of like it kind of finalizes it as authentic, as a certain grade, and it protects it. Now, is it perfectly protected in that thing? No, of course not. But more than it would be, just in a top loader or something, or in a binder. So, I mean, that's, my general feeling. And I saw you put up the like that, Cameron, I think, said that he feels like grading is over, or like that prices on 10s or low pop stuff is overvalued.
That was a joke. That's low pop pokey.
Oh, was that low pop pokey? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that was this person.
Cameron is low pop pokey, so that was a joke.
Sorry, Cameron. I know both of your names very well.
It's hard when people have multiple names. Yeah.
That's really funny because I see both of your names around a lot. That's funny, Cameron. I'm glad I know now who that is.
Yeah, I think at some points people outside looking in, like we talk in DMs like a decent amount. I've actually sold him a fair few low pop PSA 10s. I think some people might see us as like at odds, and we have very, very different opinions and very different values on certain things, but like we get along and we talk, and yeah. Low Pop Pokey is Cameron Tay4 on YouTube.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's an interesting. I mean, I think that what I was gonna respond to that because I was thinking of it that it was serious was something like there's so many voices. Like I feel like it's not. I don't feel like people are like super up on like are positive about grading these days, like in the higher end communities. Like if anything, I feel like people there's quite a bit of overly negative sentiment, if from my view of where I think about these things. Now, do I think some people still, are there all the time people paying things on a 10 that I think is too high? Sure. I mean, how much is that Zapdos in Legendary Collection 9? I mean, there's a good chance that if that card's only like $120 in a 9 or something, I think that's probably like that seems undervalued relative. But then I would have to look closer into the details and I'd have to see, okay, how difficult is it to get the 10? How many more 9s are being graded right now? And looking at CGC also. And I'm telling you guys, 10s are getting really hard to get. Like, it is not easy to get 10s on a lot of these cards where they're still giving out 9s and
Looks like the 9s go for 300 approximately.
300. Yeah, so that's not so bad. I mean, 300 to 1500, and it's probably a pretty difficult. That feels about right, probably.
Well, 300 to 2000.
Well, the 300 to 2000, but the real, but you got a pretty high price.
I would probably sell a buy it now for 400 though, even though these auctions go for 300. My
You're right.
consignment service, I really get good prices. I only charge 20% fees, but I got a 33% premium over what Nick sold his for. So if had he consigned with me, it would have cost him negative 13% functionally to sell it with me.
Yeah. So yes, don't sell with Nick, Dan's good friend. Dan.
My competitor.
Yeah. I better be careful not to get on Dan's bad side, or he's gonna be coming for me. We think he's this just calm, cool, collected spreadsheet, machine, but in reality, cutthroat.
I don't know if you've made it through any of the Never Punished podcasts recently, but those guys were tearing me up the other day. Oh man, they wouldn't relent.
Were they? For what? That's funny.
Because I opened up a buy it now consignment service, so now they see me as competition. So they were talking about all the tax and financial advice that I give, like for like 15 minutes straight. Obviously joking, but like it was funny. It was funny. I've been on Cam's bad side because I keep picking on him. I'm still listing on the old listing format, but Cam has to list on the new one, and it takes him like minutes per card to list. And somehow, Cam and Nick are on the new one. I'm on the old one still.
Your average player says if you get on Dan's bad side, he'll make a spreadsheet on you. Yeah, that would be scary. He'd tear you apart. Yeah. And then the video would get like 100 views, so you'd be fine.
Mr. Walrus says he thinks my kids are going to rebel by collecting PSA 10s. That's how they'll get me back when I ground them. My kids probably will be PSA 10 collectors, probably black label collectors only. They'll go all the way with it.
Rebel. That's funny.
Mr. Walrus is a hoot.
Well, I think I got about maybe 15 more minutes in me tonight.
So we know that means 2 hours. So
unless we start drinking Fireball and opening expensive product.
Let's take a 2-minute recess. We're both gonna go raid our alcohol cabinets, and no, I'm good with 15 minutes. We've been going for 3:23, so it'll be over 3.5 hours there. That's plenty for me. I actually got some work to do in the morning, so that'll work.
I do too. Yeah, I've got a bunch of things to accomplish tomorrow, so hopefully it's a productive day.
Let me get caught up on chat.
I'm in the process of finally like getting all of my stuff organized, like all my card stuff, which will be a tremendous relief. And finally, all of my cards, like I've picked through all of them and I've put them all into the correct grading piles. And I think I have like maybe 400 more slabs that I need to like organize and just get in the right place, and then I'll be done, which will be a tremendous relief. That's like 3 months in the making. Things have just been very disorganized.
Yeah, even before I went full time, I've had the goal of catching up on everything. It's never happened. When I quit my job, I'm like, within a year of doing this full time, I will be fully caught up. Nick and I talk about it periodically. It'll probably never happen, but I dream for the
No,
day.
dude, when I went to your house, everything spotless, everything in its perfect place, everything organized perfectly.
Just mountains and mountains of. The thing is, like, any given
was a
box you
little
open, it would make the best mystery boxes, because like you can open an eBay 8x8x12 box, and
Yeah.
it can have.
So this is Dan's way of announcing. Dan and I are going to start doing Patreon exclusive mystery boxes.
It can literally be like 10K. Like the one day I found a stack, EX Era booster packs, Topps Chrome booster packs, like a few $1,000 stack of booster packs, and then you open another one, and it's like coins and pins and marbles, and or it's like stickers from the McDonald's packs.
All right, I just grabbed 7 things. Let's see what's in our first Pokemon mystery.
Oh, here we go. Non-Pokemon. I like it.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Little Sons of Anarchy. Okay.
Oh, okay. We're Pokemon now.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Oh, a pack of energies.
Ooh, sealed? Sealed?
Sealed.
Oh, wow.
Sealed pack of energies.
Got some sealed product in there.
$15, $20. Ooh, here's your hit.
That's a case hit too. That's only 1 out of every 24 mystery boxes you get the case hit.
Yeah. 1 of 1.
Oh, there you go. Only one in the world.
Yep, only one in the world of this specific one. Let's see. Oh, this is out of 99. This is numbered.
Ooh.
There you go. And that mystery box, what should we price these at? $200 tier?
The floor is $0. Like the floor, you'll have to pay money to throw it away. The ceiling is probably 10K though. The ceiling is probably 10K. So I think fair would be like $1,000. The average is probably 500. We're doubling our money. You know, we're making only 500 a mystery box. That feels fair.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna make. Yeah. So we need to make. How many mystery boxes should we make? How do these guys do it? So they make like 500.
Yeah.
And they make that they basically make sure that they double their money, and then like decide what will go into it. Like, but they know it's going to sell beforehand.
We'll take $250,000 in product, sell it for 500K. But like a few people will like make 10 grand. A few people will 10x their money at the cost of everyone else.
I mean, that's what Rudy did to you.
Yeah, this feels like Rudy 6.9 mystery boxes.
It's exactly what Rudy just did to you.
We literally just described Rudy's 6.9 year anniversary.
Yeah,
and I bought 6 of them.
Here's some random shit that you may or may not like. Focus on the not.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the not.
Jake and I really don't do autos, right? I believe you've mentioned. Cool Trainer Tony asked. I don't do autos at all. Do you do autos?
I have a couple of autos in Pokemon, and I do have some autos from other cards in other card categories, but and I have a lot of like sports autos and things like that, but specifically Pokemon, no, not much. It's something that that I I have a few that I like that I think are cool, but it's nothing that it was never something that I thought would that I felt like was a good speculation or investment. And I especially feel that way now that they've gone up. Like obviously I was wrong, but
Yeah.
now it's like so. But again, it's was I wrong? No, because if I had put money into autographs, I would have made way less than the things that I did put money into, even now. But it is interesting that like after all of this time, like now they've got now I do think that like some of the idea of like how much have they actually gone up is a little bit misrepresented when I actually looked at it because these autos were selling for quite a bit back in the day too. Like Arita autos, like I remember Arita autos going for like $200 to $300 when Crystal Charizards were like $2,000.
I'd have to look
So
back. I've sold a couple years ago that I got
yeah,
as part of collections. I do remember there being a decent premium. I was very happy to sell them for what they were going for. I
yeah.
remember.
So it wasn't like there's a little bit of like a little bit of like a wrong narrative on it, I think. But certainly they're being talked a lot of, about a lot more, and I would say particularly like the some of the more difficult to find autos and maybe more unique or cool combinations on items like those have sold. There have been some like very very high sales there,
Mm,
um, but there's no comp. Like that item did not sell 5 years ago for us to like get a sense of really how much it's appreciated.
yeah.
And we also don't know like how repeatable those sales are. But I think they're cool. And I mean I'm all for like people getting into them and enjoying them and people having fun. And like I think in this hobby um things can become stagnant, of course, like in anything. And so finding new niches or new areas within the hobby, whether that's a new set or a new era or a new or autographs or whatever, um, is great. And it's part of like the fun.
I
Is
think
that every piece?
hopefully they're run better in the future. Hopefully they come up with a way to make it so everyone who's getting a signature knows it and everyone who's not getting a signature knows it. Because for people to wait in line for 10 or 12 hours and then not get one, that's a really bad experience. So I hope they like tighten up the events. But the thought of someone going to an event, meeting the illustrator, it's not for me, but I love that it happens and I love that people love it. So autos, I love for that respect, but they're not for me. The thing that scares me is PSA, or well, not even just PSA, any authenticating company. I looked at all the Saito, well, not all of them. I looked at a lot of them that were publicly posted on Instagram. I looked at a lot of the Aritas that were publicly posted, Discord, Instagram, wherever. The amount of variance in those signatures scares me because talking about PSA grading the condition of cards is one thing, and their imprecision and their inaccuracy, like lack of reproducibility, I do not for 1 second believe in PSA's ability to distinguish a real from a fake, given how wide the variance is inherently of just Saito's autograph when he signs it 1,000 times on one weekend. And then when he signs 2 years from now, and when you compare it to 10 years ago, I don't remotely, I will never believe in anyone's ability. Saito himself, Arita himself, Arita has probably signed 1,000, 10,000, who knows how many things. I don't believe in Arita's ability to look back and say, oh yeah, that one's real, that one's not. I just, the
Sure.
variance is too wide.
I also don't think that matters so much in a sort of like sometimes I feel like when we have that discussion or also with the other stuff, it feels very like dual in your mind of like it's either like has value or doesn't have value, where in my mind, all of that is factored into the price. And so it's also whenever you buy anything, like like when Rattle was making all those videos about how like PSA and like other companies were grading, fake cards, right? Like my first response to that was like, for sure, right? And that sucks. And it's great that he's making those videos, and we should get all that information, and people should crack down on these things. But if they grade something, it makes it more likely that it's real. Okay. Now, how much more likely that it's real? We want it to be 100%, but it's never going to be 100%. And I'm in complete agreement with Dan that I would think signatures would be more difficult to actually grade. It would be easier to fake than something like,
A
you
box
know,
even. They would be harder to authenticate than a box, and a box is extremely hard, if not impossible, to authenticate.
yeah, or like, and it'd be interesting. Like, I don't know what's harder, like that or a first edition base stamp, like the fake stamps
And
that were going around or whatever that were being covered. But like, the point just being that, like, I agree with Dan's assessment that like their fakes are going to get through, and also real ones are not going to get graded and aren't going to get turned away. Um, and so if you're buying into that market, you should be aware of that, and you should just be comfortable with the fact that like you'll never know,
in
right?
one
And
way,
so
well,
you're
one way to get around it is like if you have a trusted person. Well, one, if you go and get it yourself, there's no
sure.
higher authority
Oh,
than
and a
that.
picture,
But
or get
like
a picture to go with it, the exact one. That's a
if you get
great
it from
way.
a trusted source, if you get it from someone who went to the event that you know, like I'm
Exactly,
not,
that's sure.
I'm not completely poo-pooing the value of secondary market signatures altogether. I just really am concerned with PSA's ability to authenticate that, and I would say trust the chain of command tying back to an event. Trust the people more than the company. Just because I like the thing about like a wrapped box or a wrapped case, it can be proven fake later, and then people can have recourse. Once a fake is put in the PSA slab, PSA is never going to go back and change their opinion on it. You're never going to get paid out. At the end of the day, it
Sure.
comes down to
I
that like philosophical debate of if it's deemed real by an expert and everyone thinks it's real, functionally it is real at that point, right?
agree.
But so,
That's
so
that's always what I versus a booster box where you can open it and then find out it's fake and get screwed with for a ton of money.
yeah, yeah, it's I just
Like,
there's so many things
that's why it is a
I
lot
would just
scarier there.
caution people. Like I'm not trying to yuck yums.
Oh,
If you
caution's good.
like signatures, but like
Caution
be careful putting a massive premium in PSA's opinion alone. If someone you know that you know went to the
sure.
event and they have a picture of it or they're vouching, hey, I got this signed, also PSA authenticated, that's perfect. That's great. Like if you're paying for PSA authentication on top of knowing the source, that is great. But like I'm worried, given the market we're in, given how terrible less than 1% of human beings can be, I guarantee you people are working on fake Saitos and Aritas right now because this is the time to send them. Um, I hope nobody is doing that, but I know people are. I mean, they have to be. It's a fact of life.
Sure. For sure. And it's something that is easier to fake, is probably gonna take less time to fake, and it's definitely gonna be an issue. I there's It's a weird business. It's a business that I know a little bit about, and, like, I've been into autographs and following autographs a little bit since I was a kid, and, companies like JSA, that have been around a long time, that do a lot of autographs, and autographs is its own sort of market and its own sort of collector base, which is a whole nother reason why I think the Pokemon autograph market is really interesting versus like getting like a Beetle, the Beatles to sign, Beatles autograph or a Zeppelin or a um, um, et cetera, or a famous actor or actress or something. Um, so I think that it's I agree with I probably shouldn't have come out so like I'm disagreeing with Dan so strongly, but I agree with the majority of what Dan's saying. I do think that as long as you're aware and you understand that like when you are buying a collectible, even an authenticated collectible, there is a certain percentage, whatever that percentage is, that it's fake, but that no one is going to be able to tell that it's fake or distinguish that fake from others. There's going to be no way to determine that. And so for all, it's real effectively, just as Dan said, in
Yeah,
terms of the market value. And so I do think there's a little bit of, and I'm not saying Dan. I think part of why I react a little maybe harshly or strongly is because I think that there's a bit of an immaturity out there in the market where people expect these companies to have some sort of superhuman abilities or superpowers that don't exist. And so I almost feel like people I'm way less shocked by things being fake and by as someone who's just, I guess, because my father's in, like, the fine art market, and I've just been around, like, collectibles and these types of markets for a long time, like, it doesn't shock me at all that, like, as soon as anything booms or as soon as there's tons of money to be made, there's always, like, fakes and counterfeits, and a certain percentage always get through. And so I've the whole time been buying with that understanding and pricing that in effectively, if that makes sense. So when I'm buying something, I'm already pricing in the chance of that. And so as long as people are doing that and are comfortable with that, like whenever there is a scandal, like it's great that people are being called out and people are being caught and that there's punishment hopefully for people who are scamming. But there are people who like then doubt everything. It's like, well, what can I even trust or what can I even know? And it's like, yes, like for sure that's an aspect, but like it doesn't have to be this huge like dual thing of like I can't trust anyone and all my cards are fake and every autograph's fake and I have to worry about everything all the time. It's sort of like that's just the nature of being in these types of industries. So
One
you maybe develop a little bit of a comfort with it and you can sort of tolerate the risk.
one interesting consideration too is a fake one can be more real than a real one functionally to the market value wise. I mean, fakes definitely get through. A PSA authenticated fake. In some ways, you might be better off buying a PSA authenticated one over one that you know got signed in person if it's a bad looking one. I mean, sometimes they have a bad day. Sometimes they make a bad sketch. A true known signed in person autograph sometimes are declined to be authenticated because they just look different than other real ones. They're like too far outside the norm. So like in that case, you're better off having a good forgery that's authenticated by an expert. Which there's just so many things that I don't like about the that market, and
That's that's 100% correct.
yeah, which just feels bad.
100.
It feels really bad. So that's just an additional
Because
reason why I
same
don't partake.
one reason why you don't like tens and nines. Like they're similar. Like these things leave a distaste in your mouth. For me, it's just part of the territory. So like for me, I've for whatever it's like I've already factored that into my like level of like or dislike, and I guess my output is different than yours in the terms of like I still enjoy it. Like it's still fun. I still love the chase. It's still enjoyable. Is it annoying? Sure. Is it a downer to see this? Do I enjoy is maybe not the right word, but do I appreciate and want every person who's scamming and doing this stuff to be like called out? Absolutely. And like prosecuted if possible. But I also like understand that it's inevitable. So
Yeah,
and I guess I just go, eh, I love collectibles. I love this stuff. And so I'm willing to sort of it doesn't make me just be like, well, I'm gonna do none of it then,
yeah.
because that it seems silly to me.
Well, here's a here's
Because I enjoy it so much.
here's a question kind of on that same front. If the Pokemon market crashes to zero, are you buying more or abandoning ship? I'm not one of those people who says I will just own all of the pop report of everything. I'll buy a few things if it goes to zero to just put on my wall somewhere, and I'll remember it in the distant past of that crazy time in my life. Jake will have a well-stocked museum if and when it goes to zero. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't need to buy everything. I don't think there's a reason to do that. I also think that's just like selfish and strange. I mean, in some scenario where literally no other human being wanted any of this stuff, like I doubt I would ever have the space
Yeah,
to own like all like the pop report of all of these, right? So, but I certainly would finish every set and I would open every box like many times, like multiple times, and would have a blast doing it. Um, and I would be putting there would not be the same level of effort put into it for financial analysis, I can tell you that much, right? A lot of that part would have left, but my enjoyment and my enjoyment of opening and experiencing and building sets and doing binders and all that stuff, and grading. Now, would it hurt a little bit to spend the money on grading knowing that like no one would ever want these. Yes, but I would still do it. I probably would do it less. I probably, to be fair, would do more binders because hate I hate spending extra money um on stuff that like where I like won't be able to recoup that value. And the collector in me pushes me to do it, and I do it sometimes, but it's also like why I don't open a lot of product, even though I love opening product, because it's just like such a painful financial loss. Um, so yeah, those are some of my thoughts on it. But I certainly would be completing 10 sets and completing binders and opening a bunch of product.
I'd still keep the superior PSA 9s over the PSA 10s.
It would not be the
Um,
worst thing in the world if all this stuff went down in value a lot. Now, I would hope that it wouldn't. I would hope I'd be like in a better financial, like further on in my life where I
yeah.
was steady in all ways for before it would happen. But it would be okay.
I think on a 500-year time frame, it's all but inevitable. Maybe the Illustrator, maybe the base first Charizard, maybe like
You
one
say
or two
500
items
years.
stand out. Well, it's inevitable at 500. It's going to happen sometime between now and then. When? No idea. But to me, it feels inevitable. 500-year time frame. So if I'm wrong in 500 years, hit me up. Tell me how wrong I was. It's not all zero. I'll buy everything you have for
Yeah, I mean, I think both the Pokemon IP and then specifically somehow the cards within it retaining value are, yes, they're two. They're both of those things may not exist. Uh, Even if somehow Pokemon evolves and survives, and people are still engaging in that IP in some form in 500 years, which is an insanely long amount of time.
one thing I've
Uh,
had the thought on that's like really fascinating to think about, like all of humanity's existence, how long it's been, like to us today, how ingrained in society are sports that are like relatively young, like very relatively young, uh, like football, basketball, baseball, hockey, like all these things are, I mean, some of them less than 100 years old, some of them only a little over 100 years old. Like 500 years from now, it's very likely football won't be the primary sport in the US. Like it's quite likely once you even 50 years. I mean 50 years is a really long time. The unknown of things that could pop up in the meantime, what major shifts in society we could see that just push these things out of favor. Not even out of favor entirely, but like away from the number one spot.
I mean, it's possible that Pokemon is lasts and football and some other sports don't. Like anything is
Absolutely.
possible in that.
Yeah.
Like, and now is it possible that like no physical activity or sports exist? Like, let's hope not, because that would be like we're all like
You
something
just
like has dramatically
well,
changed in
you
terms of
plug
like
it's like you
our
plug into the
physical ability.
matrix. Literally
Yeah, yeah,
no one wants to
exactly.
live in the like apocalyptic wasteland that Earth has become. So you literally just plug yourself in to a better, like a la Black Mirror, a la Ready Player One, The Matrix.
Exactly. Something,
Yeah.
but for like football to just like peter out and other things to like take its place or move in or whatever, sure. You know, it's but
Interesting to think about.
we'll see it coming slightly. It's these huge types of things. They don't just disappear from the face of the earth and everyone forgets about them immediately. So
It'll be a long, slow, multi-century decline.
all right, dude.
AP,
Should we do like one more question maybe? And then
this one's
I
just
really
for
should
me.
get to
This one's just for me, so I'm going to answer it real quick. How much money would you sacrifice right now to be immediately perfectly organized and 100% caught up on listings? I would probably blindly, if there was a button in front of me and I could press it, if 20% of my stuff by value would just disappear, I literally wouldn't even know what it was. I just press it. Every item is listed on eBay, sorted properly, inventoried, tagged, spreadsheeted, UPC, like barcodes on everything. Honestly, 10 to 20% of everything I have easily. Many tens of thousands of dollars. I would just click the button because that is like, you're talking about months of my time, months of labor, just instantly done. that is easily worth tens of thousands of dollars. Um, that's an easy answer for me.
I think about that stuff way too often, and not just with Pokemon, but
Yeah.
like in life. Just like, okay, I really don't want to have to like go do this thing right now, or drive to this person's house, or have to go on this flight. Like, how much money would I
the,
just
the
get?
day the day after our 8.5 hour stream, how much money would you have paid to
Yeah,
teleport?
exactly,
Like,
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
oh
Well, you
god.
know the answer to that when I was in New York and I was driving around instead of paying for parking.
Oh
You
yeah, you're
remember that?
crazy. You're crazy. I do remember that. To save like $50 driving for hours, spending $49 in gas.
I think I drove around for 50 minutes to save, yeah, like $60 or something.
And then if you valued your time at $20 an hour, and if you valued
It doesn't function that way. If I had
the
known that in the
gas,
beginning, but if I had known that in the beginning then, but the problem with it is like I'm
sunk
20 minutes
cost,
in,
sunk cost
then I'm
fallacy.
30 minutes in, and then I'm 40 minutes in, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna get one any minute," you know?
So you succumbed to the sunk cost fallacy, which is something you should
Well,
not do.
it was only a dumb decision for a portion of the time. It was a smart decision for those last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, the ROI in the last 10 minutes were good. The ROI on the total hour were pretty poor.
Yeah.
Let me
Alright,
see if
one
I
more
can find
question.
one final question. Yeah. Um,
If there isn't, it's fine.
I don't think there. Oh, here we go. Do you think that the market is going to treat the new Eevee Heroes reprint differently than the original due to them being slightly different, similar to Wavy versus Glossy and Yu-Gi-Oh? So I don't know much about Yu-Gi-Oh, but I am aware that like first edition LOB boxes are advertised as Wavy or Glossy. And there are certain
Yeah.
obscure Pokemon instances where, yeah, there are minor variants. Um, oof. There's probably so much printed of both. Maybe 20 years from now, there will be people debating whether or not there was more of wavy or glossy or whatever the two terminologies are. But like today, modern day and age, PSA is not going to differentiate, almost guaranteed. For a short bit, PSA was actually declining to grade. There was like I'll say matte versus gloss. They're probably the wrong words, but like there was a matte versus gloss variant in baby shinies in some hidden faith shiny vault, and PSA actually declined to grade many of them for me. Then they made some public posts about how they're grading them again. Really, really weird. For a short period there, people were actually messaging me on my PSA 10 hidden face cards and saying, hey, when you shine a light at it, does it reflect it like this or does it reflect it like this? And it was annoying. I didn't like it because like I'm not a variant guy and I didn't want to spend minutes of my time learning about this to sell a $25 PSA 10 baby shiny. Um, so some people that are really deep in it will, 99% of people won't, and that's how I think it will stay. Personally.
Um, I don't know. I'm too tired. I'm not sure. I mean, I think that, I think that anything that differentiates print runs can be, if it's significant enough, can be very significant price-wise if the set is popular enough. And we've seen that in other hobbies, but we also see that in Pokemon, right? With first edition, with no rarity, with whatever. But I think the key in that is that there has to be a huge amount of overall popularity, and there has to be um um not enough of the first printing version to go around by like a fairly significant margin, right? So if you have 50% of the print in that sort of like first printing style and 50% of the print in the second printing style, that's not going to be as important as if you had like 10 to 90 or something like that, or even more significant. Now, how much that matters, we don't really know. Uh, so those are just my general thoughts on it. You know, it's also not like no rarity is going to get that extra huge bump because it's the first version of the first ever set, right? It's gonna, and it's the most popular set, and there are plenty of people who are like huge Japanese collectors, and that's like their, chase and grail, etc. This is not going to be something like that. And similar with the Yu-Gi-Oh, right? We're talking about LOB. We're talking about the first set, the most important set, the set with, the blue eyes and the dark magician. So
You weren't here when I shielded my Cardinal Gaming hat, I don't think either. So I wanted to put that on to close out.
Oh, you have one too now?
Did you get a hoodie and a shirt? Because I tried buying them, but Mason wouldn't sell to me. He said he didn't have my size. He told me to wear Metazoo to Denver instead of wearing his merch.
Are you going to wear Mason. His hat?
Maybe. I'm not a hat guy.
I've been going around pretending that I'm an employee at Cardinal Gaming with that hat myself.
I was hoping to be decked out fully in Cardinal Gaming.
Questions about our inventory. People ask me, "Are we going to sell this?" And I say, yes. We're going to have more in stock soon.
But yeah, we're coming up on 4 hours. Let's not hit. Oh, Mason said I can't wear his hat with Metazoo. Mason,
wear my hat.
I was going to wear your hat with your t-shirt with your hoodie, but you've made it, so I have to wear Metazoo now. I do have your hat. I mean, it might happen. Oh yeah, I probably would get blacklisted though, but maybe I shouldn't. Your average player's question was serious. What was his question? How long will it take for me to be ingrained in the hobby and lose my hairline? I'm 18, not seeing any signs, but getting real worried. Get married and have kids, and you'll probably lose your hair quicker. I love my wife and my kids, though. That's it. I think I was losing it before being married, though, too, to be fair. Isn't it supposed to be your mother's father, your maternal grandfather? Because yes. he had all his hair into his 70s, and mine's running back. Mine's going more like my dad's dad.
So I want to bring something for everyone to sign, but I'm having trouble figuring out what to bring.
Hot dog playmat.
Just also bring a hot dog playmat. Just straight up copy exactly what Mason's gonna do.
Yeah, I feel like I've been at so many events where I've signed other people's items. I always feel like I should do something, but I'm just too. I'm like too lazy to do it.
Like so many people are going to be there at this one that I have to do this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably should, but I probably won't. I know who I am.
Maybe I should bring a Evolutions booster box and have everyone sign it.
There you go.
That would be funny.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if there's enough space though on it. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, you need like a uncut sheet. You need like a poster. Maybe a canvas. Jumbo, baby. You need something huge. I'm gonna bring Snorlax and have everyone sign his belly. My big Snorlax that's been sitting on the other side of the room for a few months. But yeah, with that, let's wrap. This Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, Old Skool Pokemon will be on, telling you how to sell cards on eBay, TCG Player, all the a lot of the ultra modern cheap raw card plays. He's gonna have a little presentation on it, breaking down product, EV, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Next weekend.
So much as for all the support there. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, next weekend, Hooksett, New Hampshire. Jake, Dan TCG, Old Skool Pokemon are gonna have an event. Check Dan TCG and Old Skool Pokemon socials because Jake doesn't post anything. So check the other guys. But yeah, with that's pretty much everything. Anything else to add in closing, or you want to call it?
No, I'd like to see some unsubscribing though before I leave.
That number didn't move anywhere the whole time. Maybe my thing's broken. I probably have like 1,900 subscribers now.
There's no way that some people didn't unsubscribe. Come on. See, people are unsubscribing right now to test it, and it's not moving. It's definitely broken, 100%.
Yeah, I don't see it moving. I refreshed it at one point too. I refreshed it at one point and it didn't move. Yeah, so it must be broken.
All right, I'll subscribe again.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Oh, it just moved. It went down to 2263. So it works. Literally no one the first time though did anything. We wanted the number to move and it didn't. But yeah, with that, I saw yours just come back. We will catch you all later.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out.